I've had my phone ring twice in the last 6 months, which is random because I never ever turn my ringer on.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like it ran, like
Yeah,
rang
like I was on a
randomly.
podcast, and yeah, I got a phone call and it started ringing.
That was awkward.
Yeah, it was kind of weird both times. That and then with the editing that we do, I'm sure that one got left in.
Yeah. You remember that one podcast where we took a long bathroom break?
Yeah, I know.
It got left in.
I've read
The comments are hilarious.
Dude,
You left it in there.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I remember when we did that, you were like, "Oh, I got the minute mark."
I got the minute mark.
You're like,
yeah.
"I'm going to write it down." You wrote it down, and then it just went to editing and.
I think I walked by and told Joe, but I think I forgot to tell Danielle because I think she was starting to do them. So my bad to either Joe or Danielle.
Yeah, some people were like, "Respect for leaving in the full bathroom break," and then other people were like, "What?"
I mean, yeah. Gave people a break to go.
Yeah,
get a drink.
Go
if they
get a
want to.
beverage.
Like, it was like an intermission at a movie theater.
That's right. I did go see a movie over the weekend.
Did you go see Jurassic Park?
No.
Jurassic World, I should say. Rebirth.
I saw F1.
Oh, you did? I actually want to see that, but I don't know if it's movie theater worthy.
Oh, I would say it's definitely movie theater worthy.
Really?
Yeah, I would say if you're going to see that movie, see it in a movie theater.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you can get like the full effect of like the cars and the sound and everything.
Yeah.
But the theater I went to, they had an intermission.
I love that.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never been to I haven't been to a movie in ages, but I was shocked. I was like, what? The lights come on, movie just stops.
Yeah, so I used to live right outside of Anaconda, Montana.
Okay, never heard of it, but
and they had a movie theater there. That's like one of those old school theaters like that. Like looks like an old school theater. It had like a upper deck on the inside, like kind of like an actual theater.
Yeah.
But they played movies, and they were always like really old movies that like it would cost you $1. Mm-hmm. So like we always had to wait like 3 months to get
new
a new movie
Yeah.
because they're old, but they're all seeing them for the first time.
Right.
And then they had an intermission in the middle. That was the first time I ever went to a theater and I had to watch the movie, and they pause it in the middle so you can go get more popcorn. You can go get something else to drink. You can go to the bathroom. Where like a movie, you don't want to ever leave because if you want to go get more popcorn or get more food, you're going to miss a bunch of it.
Yep.
So I think all movie theaters going forward
should have an intermission.
It's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, this one was 5 minutes. This was like one of those theaters that have like the seats that lounge and all that, you know?
Yeah.
And they have service. Like you can order my kids ordered Dole Whip, whatever, those little pineapple whip things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they come bringing them in at intermission, and then the movie.
Oh, you're just like sitting down and like bring it to your seat?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay,
it's got
cool.
one of these little trays that folds over to you, like rotates in. What's your go-to movie snack?
Popcorn. Popcorn with butter and salt.
I like popcorn and Milk Duds. That's my jam.
Oh, you're one of those guys. Milk Duds?
You got to mix them.
So I don't drink pop soda, whatever you want to call it.
Diet
but
Cokes.
like when I go to a movie theater, I kind of splurge.
I think it's the best reason. It's the best reason to go to a theater.
I'll get a Coca-Cola or something like that, you know.
Yeah, movie, popcorn, and a Coke, man. You can't beat it. How was your weekend? It was good?
Good.
You went on a big old long trip?
Yeah, I just got back from doing a road trip with a girlfriend, rented a van. And basically, if you saw my out of office, I don't know if you did, my out of office on GOHUNT was Brady out living in a van down by the river.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, I tried to make it funny.
In a van.
Down by the river. Yeah, it literally was. We rented a van, and I wanted to take her to all the spots I used to go and live in Montana. So we road tripped from Vegas. Basically, we went from Mexico border almost, like living in Las Vegas, we're pretty close down here, all the way to Canada.
Yeah, you covered some ground.
Because we went all the way up, stopped and saw Wilson and Lindsay, who we've had on the podcast before, good friends, the GOHUNT. Stopped at their place, and then, road tripped all the way up, went through Glacier National Park, did the whole going to the Sun Road thing, made a bunch of other stops along the way.
I've never been to Glacier.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Worth it?
Yeah, I would say so.
Really?
I love that place. I mean, I'm biased because I lived there. And I've literally worked there every single day for 5 years. So, like, I've seen 90% of the park, hiked all those trails, but it's cool to see it again and saw a lot of grizzly bears. And
is it busy?
Oh, yeah. It's so bad now. Like, they have a timed entry thing. Like, you can get reservations for a certain time. But if you go before, I think it's 7 o'clock or before 8 o'clock, some more of those times, you don't have to wait in line or don't have to have a timed entry. So we literally woke up at like 4:30 in the morning and we just camped on some public land right outside of the park. And then went right in with the van and drove up and took the dog. So it was a good rip. Did a lot of driving and then got back and instantly I grabbed a four-wheeler, put it on my truck, and then went scouting.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's that time. I mean, I can't believe we're pretty much the middle of July.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I picked up that antelope tag. It starts the 1st of August, which is crazy. It's like 3 weeks. By the time I get back, and I think Omar and I are going to Hawaii tomorrow with the Mountain Ops guys, which is pretty cool. But by the time I get back and then run to tag, kind of do that event, work the booth for the weekend, and then I'm back, and then I'm hunting like 2 weeks.
Do you know I'm gonna be there with you?
I heard rumor.
Yeah, let's
I did.
make it official.
Yeah, I talked. I can't remember who I talked to the other day, but I was like, "Who's all going to be there? What's the living arrangements and stuff?" And they were like, "Yeah, Brady's coming." I was like, "Brady's coming to attack? You bring the bow?"
So I was thinking about it yesterday. Help me answer my question for me. Should I bring a bow or not? Because what I want to do is I just want to go up. I want to just kind of work the booth, hang out. I want to take a bunch of photos.
Sure.
Because like I need photos for articles all the time of like you guys doing stuff, and like I always ask you like, "Hey, do you have any bow photos?" You're like, "No, you don't take out your phone at all." It takes
What do I do? Selfie style, hold it up.
Yeah. So I want to grab a bunch of stuff of like, bow leaning down by Target or arrows in a Target, random things, and take a bunch of videos. And so if I take my bow, it's going to be hard to do both.
Yeah.
And so I'm leaning towards no, because you guys can just go shoot. Like I don't have an archery tag this year. Sure, I love shooting my bow, but do I really need to travel with it? Fly all the way up there with the bow and then not know when I have a knock time to even go?
Yeah.
And work the booth and just go with you guys when you go. So
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards no, unless we get a bunch of comments. Maybe I should bring my bow. Maybe users should comment on here if I should bring my bow or not.
Just
If everyone listening to the podcast, come on YouTube.
I think you should, even if you just hit the little practice range and flip a few. And that's mostly what I did.
So fun.
The last few years that I've done this event, I've mostly just worked the booth and then, walked over the practice range and flipped a few here and there. And I think we did shoot maybe a course or two last year, which was fun. We shot with Troy from SIG, which is cool. And, buddy his, and then Lorenzo and I shot one day a different course. So I guess I did do a fair amount of shooting actually. Now that I think about it.
So you're saying I should bring it?
I think you should bring it.
Think I'll still be able to take a bunch of photos and videos?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, I know.
Just watch your camera. You don't want to hit your camera with your string or anything.
I know. Yeah, that would be a little scary situation.
While you were talking, it actually reminded me of a couple things I thought would be interesting to bring up and explore. Did you see? I saw today. I read that Trump is going to enact some sort of new law where they're going to require visitors to national parks. So if you're not a citizen of the United States, they're going to end up charging you more now.
Really?
To enter a national park. Yeah. And he's basically saying he's going to use that to help fund kind of the development and, help clean up some of these national parks. But I remember thinking that's kind of interesting.
I'm not sure how I feel about that. And maybe that's a better way to go about raising some money.
Yeah, I think it's good.
I would.
I don't even know what a park pass is. I don't know what it even requires. I haven't been to a national park in so long. I don't even know what the cost is.
Yeah.
I saw that. The other one that jumped to mind, I saw an Instagram reel. So there's a guy, he's a trail runner, mostly trail runner, and like one of these ultra marathoners. Lives in northern Utah in an area that I'm familiar with. I lived in. Anyway, so they've got the Division of Wildlife owns some state land, and there's a trail system that kind of runs through it. People frequent it, right?
Yeah.
So this guy in his post, he was kind of complaining. I would say he was complaining. And then if you read down through, and I just did a deep dive, read down through the comments to see what people are saying. But essentially, he was running this trail and got stopped by a Fish and Game Conservation officer at the end of it. And he was checking in for a permit. And he said, "Do you have a hunting license or a fishing license?" And this guy was like, "No, I don't hunt or fish." And he's like, "Well, there's this new state law, I guess it passed in May, where if you utilize a WMA, which is a wildlife management area the state owns, you have to have purchased a hunting or a fishing license in order to use a WMA for any recreation, right?"
Yeah.
So I was reading down through the comments because I was just curious, and it was just an influx of people being like, "That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. You don't hunt and fish, and if you don't want to support the, hunting, basically, vegans, vegetarians, kind of the other side of the aisle." Essentially, just on and on and on and on and on. And then every once in a while, you'd see a comment from a hunter saying, "It's about time. Like you use this, you recreate, and this is state land that was reserved." In those cases, it's for winter range, right?
Yeah.
You have those deer and elk that come off the tops. But yeah, I was really kind of surprised about it, and I thought it was interesting that I was kind of proud in some ways of just the hunting community being like, some were done more tastefully than others. Some were just like, "Hey, dipshit, yeah, it's time that you pony up and pay for your fair share," But some of them were like, took the opportunity to completely like write out fully like the reason why, winter range, and then talk about Pittman Robertson and how land gets purchased for wildlife in the state. And it was interesting though. It was quite a debate.
Yeah, that is a tough one because people go out and recreate all the time and they're not doing their fair share to resource where hunters and anglers and everyone else we always have been. Yeah, putting our best foot forward for it.
Yeah, it made me think. I mean, we always go back to that topic. You could just get in my random stream of consciousness right now as I was driving down today. But yeah, it just made me think. We always talk about, the management of public lands and wildlife in general, kind of being put on the backs of hunters and anglers and, a lot of it from shooting sports, right? People buying ammunition and guns and stuff and fishing license or fishing equipment and stuff. But
which is definitely the fair share of what that money's going.
Lot.
Yeah, way more than any hunters are doing.
Yeah, it just made me think, I wonder if this is, I think one, it's a good time to educate. And then also I think maybe it's something we could do to like help raise some money, because there is a lot of it. And I know the trail system he's talking about. I used to run it when I lived there, and there's always people on it, always. And I would bet very few of them hunt or fish.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was interesting.
Look at you with update with current events.
Yeah, that's just my random stream of consciousness, like I said. Promo, we got to hit promo. We have a special promo going on, Brady. Do you even know about it?
Ooh, I don't know if I do.
You don't know about it? About transfer and waypoints?
Oh, that one. Yeah, we were talking about that one.
Yeah, do you know anything about it?
What?
So basically right now we have a promo. You can use the promo code podcast. Yeah. And if you are not a GOHUNT insider, if you become a GOHUNT insider, and a lot of people ask us, is a common question I get is, can you transfer your waypoints? So if you're using another service, I think there's some hesitancy to maybe transfer over because they're like, I have all these waypoints, all this information.
Is it going to be complicated? Am I losing stuff to is seamless?
Yeah. Can I transfer all my waypoints over? And I think that's like a big hesitancy for a lot of people. And the truth is that you can. It's super easy. How long do you think it would take you to transfer all your waypoints over?
No joke, minute and a half, and you're done.
Yeah. It's super easy.
Export, import, confirm, done. Yeah. That's all it is. Okay, any service you have, export them out, whether it's your computer, your phone, and then go into ours, click import them right in there. And literally on our homepage, it's like, if you're on the computer, it's literally there are 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th tab down under the news section, sales and promotions, the header thing that rotates down. The bottom one is how to import your waypoints from any service. I wrote that article quite a while ago, but I've updated it for other services and it literally walks you through step by step.
I think there's probably a video on it as well. Yeah. I'm sure we have a video on YouTube.
Yeah, whether it's another, mapping app type of thing, or whether it's Google Earth or any of those other services out there. It's easy.
Super easy.
Easiest thing ever.
Yep. So the promo, if you are not a member, you want to become a member, if you sign up for a GOHUNT Insider account and you import your waypoints over, we're going to give you 100 points back in the GOHUNT Gear Shop, which is $100.
100?
100. Yep.
Dang.
So $100 that you can use to just purchase any gear that you want. And, the rest of this podcast, we're going to dedicate to gear. We're going to talk sleep systems, but you could use your 100 points in the gear shop to, use it towards a sleeping bag, a sleeping pad, tent, whatever it is that you want. So kind of a killer promo. You can use the promo code podcast when you sign up, and you can do it on your phone or you can do it on a laptop.
It's a great thing too. If you you and your buddies, great time to sign up. You guys got some hunts planned, you want to do things together, get the insider membership, utilize that import tool, get all your waypoints over, start organizing right now. I've done a bunch of map videos. I think a couple of them came out already about how I go and organize everything and color code stuff. And our system makes it really easy.
You'd be so proud of the e-scouting I've been doing since I picked up that antelope tag.
Gosh, I know. When you sent me that text last week that you got a tag, I was like, whoa.
You would be so proud. Man, I've been e-scouting my tail off.
I'm like it.
It's funny. I'll do hardly any e-scouting for elk or deer.
I think I've mentioned this before. When we did that antelope together with Neville 4 years ago, you had that thing dialed.
Yeah.
You had every water source marked. You had all the turns where we could potentially camp.
That's what I've been doing for antelope.
Just diving in, marking tanks, marking seeps, springs, everything.
I was thinking about it. I guess that shows you where the level of engagement or passion that I have for antelope hunting.
Yeah. I think when you texted me, I could look it up the exact quote, but you're like, any antelope tag is a good antelope tag, no matter where it is. And it's like always fun hunting antelope.
So I've been doing tons of e-scouting.
Tis the season, man.
Yeah. So that kind of goes along with the promo. So get yourself an account and transfer your waypoints over and get yourself $100 back in the gear shop. Anything else that you need to hit before we dive in?
I mean, we have some other cool things coming, I believe, next week. I'm not sure if we got the okay to talk about them.
Go ahead.
I mean, it involves maps. You know,
I think Porter kind of floated it.
Floated it?
Yeah, when we had him on, we were talking elk hunting. He talked a little bit about it, so I think they're good.
Man, I don't. Do I want to?
Yeah, do it.
Do I want to?
Come on, Brady. I'm the devil on your other shoulder.
Let me just see here. Okay, so we have a new layer dropping.
Okay.
Road density layer.
Yeah, they totally talked about it.
Okay. They did?
Yeah. Feel free.
Feel free. Okay. I'm not going to talk about too much. We're going to make a big promotion next week, but just know there's a huge thing dropping on maps. Road density layer. It basically allows you to figure out, exactly how it sounds, the density of roads in a certain area, and it's going to highlight it in colors to make it super easy for you to see it on a map. Basically, to find places either that you want to get away from the roads, or figure out where the roads are at, so you can obviously move away from them, or you use it different ways, but.
So I haven't looked at it in depth, but my understanding is that it kind of works in reverse. So it actually kind of highlights the areas where the density is highest.
Yeah.
So that
that's the way it should always be.
So that the areas that have a less dense, kind of a congregation of a lot of roads, those are the areas that are going to pop out to you. And then you'll have the transparency to actually be able to zoom in and do some e-scouting and look into those areas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, so it's going to be under your roads and trails section on the map.
What's it called? Road density.
Road density. Yep. Yeah. So I got it pulled up right now in a state. I also say I'm just looking at Colorado, just cruising around. I want to go hunt over the counter elk. Who knows? Who knows what I could be doing?
Sure.
And yes, so it's just like you said. So all the places that have heavily road use, that's in our case black. I mean, I'm slightly colorblind, so who knows? Black and gray. And then all your places that have less roads, you can see through. So you can see the terrain, you can see everything. Obviously, you can adjust the transparency. But this is why this is a great tool, because I don't want to go places where there's roads and people. So it's nice that it just blacks out the highest road density areas and allows me to then see the open terrain that I potentially can hunt. And it highlights it across the whole state. And it's really surprising to look at it in all these mountain places, but you can even use it. Like I'm looking at right now on some of this, Eastern Plains. Like if you have an antelope tag, you can really kind of use it too to figure out, okay, where's all these roads, and maybe there's some more open areas where antelope could be roaming free. Yep. Like it's not just a tool that you use in the mountains. You can use it anywhere.
Yeah. That
Tons of use cases. Then you can obviously layer stack and stack a bunch of layers on top of that. So road density is going to be, and it's in all of our states too. I
think we have a hunt film also dropping the end of the week, don't we?
Oh yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah. Jess's film, right?
Yeah. Jess Lauder. Yep. Friend of GOHUNT. She had an elk tag last year in Utah. And we're going to end up kind of put that out in conjunction with her. And I watched it actually last night. It was funny because Lane messaged me and said, "What did you think of the film?" I said, "I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome." And I guess for me, the mark of an elk hunting film is like, how excited am I to go elk hunting at the end of it? And I was excited to go elk hunting.
Stoke levels high.
Yeah, stoke levels high.
Okay.
So yeah, it did. To me, it hit the mark. So that was pretty cool. But that'll be dropping Sunday.
Sweet.
I don't know the name of it yet, but
yeah, I don't either. I was going to queue it up to watch it. Later
have you watched
today.
it yet?
No, I have not.
It's good. You'll like it.
Yeah.
Kills a great bull.
The only other thing I got.
Okay.
I'm just wearing it right now. Yesterday, Sitka dropped their brand new Jetstream piece. I mean, Jetstream's always been one of my favorites when I need a soft shell, and it's updated, it's new.
Did they drop just the Jetstream?
Oh, they have a couple other ones they dropped too.
Okay.
So if you're in the market, be looking.
Yeah.
And like I'm digging it already. Obviously, I haven't taken it out. I brought it to Montana last week.
It's kind of a staple, right?
Yeah, it is a really great piece.
You kind of wear that thing. I don't wear it a ton hunting. Maybe some front country
stuff, like late season.
It's great in the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I wear it all the time, like from October, I would say, till February, something like that. I'm always kicking around town in a Jetstream jacket.
Yeah. It's just a classic piece.
Yeah.
I feel like hunting season's coming up.
Yep.
So yeah, pretty sick piece.
Cool. Should we talk sleep systems?
Sleep system, let's do it.
So The reason I thought this would be a good podcast topic is because it seems like this is the time of year, and I've been getting a lot of questions about sleeping pads, sleeping bags, and tents. And that's how you kind of know. It's funny, I've been doing this long enough, I can kind of gauge how close we're getting to hunting season based on the types of questions I've been getting. So I've been getting a bunch of those lately. So I thought we would run through sleeping pads, bags, and tents, and kind of maybe just work through some ideas and options, maybe some pinch points of what we don't like and do like and why.
Yeah.
Do you want to tackle pads first?
Tackle pads first, because that's basically point of contact with the ground.
Yeah. I guess first we should probably establish like how important is it getting a good night's sleep?
I would say essential. It's some of those things that you definitely don't think about. You're like, oh yeah, I sleep all the time. You just close your eyes, go to bed. But you close your eyes, go to bed after you've been hiking all day, climbing up mountains, chasing whatever critter you're chasing, and you're exhausted and you don't get a good night's sleep. What are you going to do the next day? You're going to be a little bit groggy, you're going to be a bit slower. You might hit the snooze button on your alarm for a little while before you get up, and then, or you'll just wake up, go hunting for a little bit, and then want to come back to camp or take a midday nap, which ain't bad, but kind of want to be more well rested so you can keep going every single day.
I was curious. I did a little searching, just some research on like what happens to you, lack of sleep, and then particularly like in a strenuous situation, like if you're backpack hunting.
Yeah.
So these are, I'm just going to label them. So slower decision making, fatigue dulls your ability to make quick, effective decisions.
Which was hunting all about quick decisions, especially if you're and a bow hunter, quick decisions. I'm setting up.
Yeah, this one I thought was interesting. So poor situational awareness. You're less likely to notice small details, subtle movements, things like wind changes. You're less likely to pick up, if you're elk hunting, and you're kind of looking for that movement as the bull's approaching. So obviously less likely to pick up any kind of movement. You're just kind of dulled. Decreased patience and focus. So I would say, if you're spot and stock mule deer hunting, you're antelope hunting, when you get in tight, patience is like a premium, right? And then focus, being able to like absolutely pinpoint details of when to do what. Like elk hunting, I think about a lot, but like the ability to know when to draw your bow, like picking that perfect moment. I would say that's as much a critical point in the whole process as actually executing the shot. I see I've been on so many different hunts where that was the difference. It was like the difference between getting a shot and not getting a shot is just blowing the point of when you actually should draw your bow. So I thought that was interesting. This is a good one. Mood and motivation drop. So you're more irritable, less motivated, just directly related back to your lack of sleep. So if you're hunting with a buddy, I get do you get angry? Like, do you get irritable when you lack of sleep?
I
do.
I probably would say yes, a little bit. I mean, it's inevitable, right? You probably just don't know it, but your peers around you would definitely know it.
Yeah, I get irritable. Like when I get tired,
just
I get
snappy really quick if someone says something.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's snap. It's not. I'm not the nicest individual when I'm super tired. I get really irritable. Lower energy and stamina, so you'll fatigue faster, and then your recovery is less.
Yeah.
So
sleep is important. And if it's anything I've learned, like obviously I am big on data and like fitness data. That's why I wear Garmin watch and I wear a Whoop as well. Like the last couple of years, my annual like summary thing that I get from Whoop for all my sleep data, it's like you don't get enough sleep to survive. It's like my yearly average, because like I'm really bad on like sleeping at home. But then it's also going to compound and affect you when you're in the field too. So I've been getting a lot better at just sleeping at home by like trying to go to bed consistently and trying to get right when I was asleep. And then if I work hard that day, like go on a big run or do a big crazy workout, like you can see it the next day. Like if you start looking at data, and that's why I love this data stuff for hunting too, because I go back and look at it. I'm like, remember that one day and I was really groggy and I felt like I was absolutely exhausted. Like I was literally felt like my body was shutting down. It's the days where I drove all the way straight through the night to get to a trailhead. Maybe I pulled my sleeping bag out in the dirt for a little bit, slept an hour, started hiking. And like that whole day was miserable. And then I was miserable for the next couple of days because of
You're trying to recoup.
trying to recover
Yeah.
from that horrible sleep, or I tried to lay in the trail for a little bit and sleep. It's like it is important.
Yeah.
Very important. And all these things that we're going to talk about are going to lead to.
Here's the last one. And this one actually kind of hit home. I was thinking about it because so last week I did a gear dump, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
My elk list kind of gear dump for this upcoming season. And I was going through my med kit, and shout out to everybody that told me get a tourniquet.
The tourniquet comments.
I get them every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we had this discussion like 4 years ago, and then I started adding a tourniquet?
Yeah,
and like,
you did. I still have it.
come on, bro.
Yeah. One guy hit me up. He's like, if you have things that can puncture, put a hole in you, you have to have things that'll stop a hole, like essentially stop it from pulsing and bleeding out, right? And
how many buddies do we know who have stabbed themselves with arrows?
I know
personally?
I know a couple.
Yeah, that's enough. A couple's enough.
I know two, and then like I think I've told you before, I knew a guy one time that killed a buck late season and was pulling the buck across a snowy hillside. He slipped and fell. The buck came down behind him, and he ran the back tine into his thigh.
Karma, man. That buck just lasts. Even though he's dead,
and it went pretty deep. I think it went like 3 to 4 inches deep. Like it really, it jammed him. But no, I hear everybody. I hear you on the tourniquet comment.
Yeah.
But along with that wasn't what I was trying to say. But as I was doing the video, and I'm pulling out bandages and suture kits and everything, ibuprofen, Tylenol PM, all the things. One of the things that I was like, oh, cold meds. I always pack cold meds. I always have a shit ton of cold meds that I pack with me. And then as I was reading through this, so sleep helps your body recover and stay healthy. Lack of it, especially in cold, wet conditions, it lowers your immune system. So you have an increased chance of getting sick.
Wow.
So I was thinking, why does it feel like it does feel like post hunt, I always get a cold. It feels like I'm always getting the flu or a cold like after a hunt or prior to a hunt. I don't know how many times I've got out into the field and like day 2 or 3, I'm like, oh, I got the sniffles, like I'm stuffed up, I'm getting sick, I was probably a lot of it is due to the fact, like you're saying, that prior to a hunt, it's not uncommon for me to leave my house at Friday night at 5 o'clock, drive all night long, hit a trailhead.
You're so excited.
At 5 a.m., hike in the dark. Pull essentially an all-nighter or 2 nights, essentially, if it's a long ways, right? Like I'll be driving a lot and I might sleep for 2 or 3 hours and then keep driving. But I'm always getting sick.
Yeah.
Now that one registered with me for some reason when I was reading about this. I was like, man, I need to be much better at prioritizing sleep prior to leaving.
Yeah.
So probably driving all night through the middle of the night, it's probably not the best move. I mean, it's a necessity, I would say.
You kind of have to do it because we got to maximize the time we're given.
Yeah.
Hunting season's only so short. You have so many days off. You have to maximize it. But how can you then turn the table a little bit and make sleeping in the backcountry a little bit more comfortable so that you can recover and rest? And
made me think I just need to start taking Fridays off.
I like that plan.
Leave in the morning.
I wish that was the case.
Get to the trailhead in good time. I can get a full night's sleep. And get up
do a bunch of stretching before you go. Just relax, acclimatize to the elevation.
So going forward, I'm going to put my request in to take Friday off before I hunt.
Okay.
You like that?
I don't think that's going to go well for you. Good luck.
Yeah. Anyway, all that to establish sleep. Super important.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a sleeping pad? I'd say there's 2 types.
I honestly,
maybe 3.
Okay. So I just look for lightweight, not expensive, because I know I'm going to probably be replacing it every 2-3 years.
Is price? Do you look at price?
I do look at price to the point, if I'm going to go something stupid lightweight and pay a lot of money, but I know it's going to tear really easily, then I don't really like that item. Like I like super lightweight things. Most people know that, but you got to carry a lot of heavier things everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of those things where I'm trying to shave a little bit of weight, and I hate spending lots of money on something that I might not get multiple years out of.
Mm-hmm.
So, but saying that, I will spend money on a ultra lightweight pad if it does save me at least like 6-8 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
If it's very comparable to something else and I get something a little bit cheaper, but maybe like 3-4 ounces heavier, it's not a big jump.
Gotcha.
Then I'm not really worried about price. But I like lightweight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not one of those people, because I hunt a lot of late season stuff now. So I don't go super crazy on the R value.
You don't?
No.
Why not? I would think if anybody is paying attention to R value.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to do you want to touch on what R value is?
Yeah, basically just a level of insulation that the pad is providing you. Basically, that level of protection from sucking cold from the ground. And
Have I asked you this before? Do you know what the R stands for?
Regulatory
resistance.
Resistance.
Yes, that's the resistance
of
your body losing heat into the ground.
Yeah, and so what I usually say, like R value of like 1 to 3 early season stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anything 3 to 4 is like your 2 to 3 season type
shoulder
stuff.
seasons.
Yeah, and then like a true late season stuff. Anything above 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I think five is what the max.
Yeah, everything I've read is like 7+.
Okay, well, there's one.
Yeah. So then you get into some of like the foam combos, right?
Yeah,
so the inflatable foam combo.
Mm-hmm.
I would say primarily everything that anybody uses that I'm aware of is going to be like 1 to 5.
Yeah. For a normal backpack.
For most people.
Yeah, unless you're.
But did you say earlier that you don't pay attention to R value for a late season?
I don't pay as much attention as probably most people should. So I should say that caveat out there. The reason I don't is typically on a late season hunt, I have a wood burning stove.
Mm-hmm.
I love a teepee setup, but if I have to go on a late season hunt, like I've done some before, hunting in snow and really cold temperatures where I did not have a stove. So then I did take something that had a little bit higher R value because I was camping right on the snow in a freestanding shelter and not a teepee.
Mm-hmm.
So then I paid more attention to. But when I have that wood burning stove in there,
you save the weight.
I save some weight with pad, and then I have a wood burning stove, so that's added some weight to it. So I really don't need to have something with a higher R value. Mm-hmm. And I sleep hot.
Okay.
No matter what, anyway. Like my girlfriend will tell you that I'm a furnace.
You're burning up.
I burn up. She's like, you add so much warmth to the bed all the time.
Gotcha.
Like I sleep very hot, so I'm always like throwing off covers. Like and my body's just warm when I'm sleeping.
Yeah, it's an individual, right?
It's an individual thing. So and again, the psycho part of me too is I like to save weight on a pad, so I don't get a long sleeping pad, even though I should. I get a regular size and just have my feet hang off.
How far off?
I mean, it's like a foot probably. And sometimes I'll like try to shove a backpack down there or something.
Under your feet?
Yeah. So if I needed to, it's like I'm again a very niche use case in that, and I prefer a regular because it's a little bit lighter. And
so how heavy is too heavy that you were like I wouldn't pack that?
I don't like anything over a pound.
Okay, so you're aiming for the pound mark.
I mean, if I can get what's the Uber Light right now? I can't remember because I tore my last one. It's like close to 10, right?
I want to say 10 or 11, somewhere in that neighborhood. I know that the Neo Air X Lite is right at a pound for, I think, the long version.
Yeah. 9 ounces.
Okay, 9 ounces for an Uber Light.
Yeah.
Uber Light's expensive.
Very expensive.
And I would think it's more prone to punctures.
So now this again, I'm going to throw this. Like, I don't own an Uber Light now. The last one I tore was probably 3 years ago. And basically the baffles inside got so much use that they ended up popping. Mm-hmm. So basically I had like a giant pillow in my pad when I inflated it. When I couldn't lay on it anymore. So it wasn't any like puncture resistant thing. It was just the baffles for whatever reason. Finally the glue or whatever it is inside the baffles. And I don't keep my gear in the garage. It's always in an air conditioned house. Try to prevent all this expensive stuff from damaging, but like this baffles just blew up. And so I was really mad because they're like really expensive. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to go buy an Uber Light again. I think now they might even be discontinued for a little bit, or I have a hard time finding them. What was I really going to say? But like I have now just the Neo Air X Lite instead of the Uber Light because of
the issues with the chambers filling.
And I've had 2 of them now end up the baffles blowing up on me on the
Uber Light.
Uber Light. And I have not had that ever on the X Lite. And so X Lite, yeah, sure, it's a hell heavier.
It's a pound.
I know, it's a pound rather than like 9-10 ounces. Like that's a lot of weight I have to make up in other areas per se. Yeah. But you do get a more comfortable sleep on it.
Yeah. I was listening to something else. The individual was talking about basically inflating pads. So you have to inflate the pad. I would say that's probably the most commonly used pad right now out there.
Does anyone use foam? foam
I don't know.
pads
This
anymore?
person was saying that they like the foam pads because they can't fail.
Okay. Should we talk about what happened to Omar in New Zealand again, just real quick?
Well, I mean, the inflatable ones can fail, but I mean, like a closed cell.
Yeah, the closed cell foam. Yeah, they
closed
can't.
cell foam can't fail, but they're not very comfortable.
Not very comfortable.
I'm talking like those eggshell ones that you can buy, and then like the Z-Rest that you can fold those out.
Yep.
Have you ever spent a night on just one of those?
Oh yeah, that's what I used to do when I was, early on in my backpacking days.
Yeah,
and
I have too. It's not comfortable.
it's not comfortable at all. You feel every rock, every stick. You get cold really easy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like lay there and feel comfortable.
Yeah, I don't sleep well on those at all. So I would say for me, the inflatable air pads are the way to go. You do have to ensure that you don't puncture them or put holes in them.
And you want to carry a repair kit.
And you want to carry a repair kit. I would say of the pads that I know of that have popped, it's either been one of two things primarily. It's maybe three. So it's been chambers failing like you on a pad that's like really ultra light where the actual face material or the material between the chambers is so thin that it like expands maybe during the day and it blows out those chambers, or somebody has sat down on their pad with something that would put a hole in it, like a hip quiver attachment. I know of 3 pads right now. So if you use a hip quiver and use that Total Peep hip quiver attachment, don't sit down on your sleeping pad with that thing on your belt.
Yeah, because it's the first thing you can do. You get back to camp. You go, I'm going to take my boots off. I'm just going to sit down real quick on my pad. Oh, pop.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know at least 3 that have failed that way, or people sat down with something else that put a hole in them. And the other way is like not paying attention to where you put them, right? So cactus spines, sticks, twigs, sharp rocks, laying them. So I would say, those inflatable pads are the way to go. I sleep way better on them.
Yeah, so if you're going to go floorless shelter or any, floor shelter, let's say, are you carrying ground sheet then to help protect your pad?
I am, yeah. So most of the style I do is like I'll sleep in a bivy, so I'm putting it inside the bivy sack and then my bag. Or if I don't, I will put a ground cloth, so a Tyvek ground cloth. I'm pretty meticulous about cleaning the area that I'm going to lay down. So I'm going to kick it out with my boots, make sure that there's no rocks, sticks, pine needles. But yeah, I'm pretty meticulous about prepping my spot. I lay it down, and then I'll put my sleeping pad on top of a Tyvek sheet usually, or inside the bivy. And I use the X-Lite too. I think the X-Lite's the best pad on the market.
It is pretty hard to beat.
There is a pad from Sea to Summit that I would like to try. I think it's 3.5, 4 inches thick. And I've read the reviews on it, and people say it's really awesome, works great, and it's really comfortable. But the X-Lite, I would say, is hands down my very favorite. It's right about a pound. It's got a great R value that lands you between, I think, 3 to 5, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's pretty high for what you get for being a pound. And then I think it's pretty durable. So I've had 2 of them, which I've had 1 hole in it, which I've had to repair with some silicone gel. But other than that, I've had both of those for probably pushing 10 years, I would say, at this point. Yeah, I haven't even updated to like the new valve, it's got the screw top.
Yeah, that thing's a game changer.
The thing that rotates around. Yeah, I haven't even updated. I've just been using the same one. So they work really well.
Yeah, so I'm just looking it up. The Thermarest NeoAir X-Lite NXT, the 2024 version, is 13 ounces for a regular.
So it's less than a pound.
Yeah. Then
What's
the large is 1.1. The one that's actually closer to a pound is the X-Therm version.
Yep.
And that has a crazy high R value. I think I just looked up. It was like 7 something.
It's the silver colored one?
Yeah, silver colored one. So I do have that one. And if I'm not going super deep and far, not worried about some ounces, I have carried that one. Not because of R value, just because I have it.
Have you ever used any of the, so like Big Agnes made some pads there for a while that were like 3.5, 4 inches thick. And then the NeoAir, the X-Lite from Thermarest, I think is like 2.5 inches thick. Have you ever noticed a difference?
I didn't like the really thick ones.
Why?
I felt like I fell off them.
Really?
Yeah.
They were too luxurious?
Yeah. And then also, I mean, I don't know. It's just my thought. The ones I've had and tried out before, I seem to have fallen off and like leaned a sleeping bag against a wood burning stove and nick my sleeping bag a little bit. Or I've accidentally squirted off to the side and kicked my pad over to the wood burning stove and lit it up instantly and like put a hole in it, and then it was no more. So I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm as comfortable when I'm that high up. for whatever reason. Maybe it's just in my head when I'm sleeping and I'm like going to roll off it and fall off like a bunk bed type thing or something. But
Yeah, I haven't noticed any difference. I've had them from Big Agnes, and you lay on them and they're comfortable, but I haven't noticed that I sleep any difference. I wouldn't say that like I wake up in the morning feeling any better or like I didn't sleep as well on those really thick ones. The other thing is if I put my sleeping pad inside a bivy sack, I don't want to compress my down against the bivy sack because I got my bag inside my bivy. So if it's actually a little bit lower, I feel like there's less compression of, just the confines of being in a bivy, right?
yeah.
So I like the lower one. And then it seems like I've had more, just like you. That's interesting that you said that. It seems like I've had more durability issues with the thicker ones. But I do get asked by people like, oh, I want a really thick, luxurious, like I have a hard time sleeping. And I never really, it's hard. I don't really relate.
Yeah, because even like the X Lite is like, it's still pretty cush and nice. Like it's how hard you want to blow it up. You want to take a little bit of air out to make it a little bit more like, comfortable for you.
Do you blow yours all the way up?
All the way.
Like to the max?
To the max. Yeah.
Does it leak air at night? Do you ever notice that?
No, I don't think so. The only time I ever am concerned is if it's, hunting early season type stuff or summer scouting and it's going to be really hot during the day. So if I'm going to leave my sleeping pad in my tent and it's going to be hot and the sun's beating on it where I'm camping, it's not like maybe I'm in the Alpine. I'll try to open it up a little bit because it's like things get hot.
Yeah, they
expand. It expands a little bit more. And so I'm worried about blowing baffles out that way. So I try to take some air out in the morning and just like crank it a little bit and let my body push it down and then go out hunting and then come back and kind of blow it up a little bit more at night.
I kind of let a little out of mine. So I'll blow it up to the max and then I'll let just a little bit out. So it's got just an ever so slight give to it. That seems to be the right amount of like firmness for me. And I sleep better for whatever reason.
Speaking of blowing up sleeping pads, have you gotten on the train of the little air pumps?
And I never will.
Never will?
No, I'm against it completely.
Yeah, it's pretty silly for what the weight is.
You're talking the little battery powered pumps.
We have a GOHUNT one. And so the only reason why I bring it up, because I started adding it to my kit on some late season hunts or when I was in moose hunting, because it does make stoking a fire a lot easier.
Oh yeah, you can see that.
So it's dual purpose then. So I'm killing two birds with one stone, or having that two is one is none.
I hadn't thought
type
of
thing.
that.
So I can use it for multiple different. I mean, that's two is one is none. It's not the right saying for that. Sorry, scratch that, edit that out. It won't be edited out. But it basically it's dual purpose. I can light a fire with it if I need to when things are wet. I can stoke my GOHUNT titanium stove when I have wood in there and just crank that on there to get the fire going, and then I can blow up a pad.
How much does it weigh?
And
does it work on one single battery?
Let me pull it up.
How much quicker is it than blowing it up?
Oh, it's so much quicker.
Really?
Yeah.
So the only time I've actually
3.6 ounces it weighs.
Okay. So,
USB-C rechargeable.
Okay.
And it 30 minutes of continuous use.
And you think how long does it take? 30 seconds or less?
I would say probably close to 30 seconds.
Blowing up an air pad?
Yeah, very, very quick.
The only time I've actually considered it was I sent my youngest kid to scout camp here, I don't know, maybe a month ago. And I was showing him how to blow up one of these. And I was watching him try to blow it up because he's 12, right?
I know airflow, yeah.
Him trying to blow one of those things up, I was like, it's going to take him a half hour. It just was taking forever. Yeah. That's the only time I've actually considered it. But other than that, I've always just figured I got nothing but time. I'm out there. I'm going to bed. Like if it takes me 3 minutes or 5 minutes to blow that thing up.
That's 3 or 5 minutes. You could be sleeping.
Yeah, but I'm not packing 3.5 ounces. But I can't see. That is a good point. I hadn't thought about stoking a fire.
Stoking the fire was great.
Yeah, okay. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you ever buy... It doesn't bug you. Do you buy the wides?
No, never bought a wide.
You buy the normal width, which is normally like 20 inches?
I fit on it great.
You don't buy the 25 inchers?
I'm a side sleeper.
Okay.
For the most part. I sleep in like a side fetal position, like curled up. And I'll also throw it out there when we're talking about sleeping. I always have to. I can sleep on a rock. Like I could literally lay on the table and in 3 minutes I'm sleeping. Like I close my eyes, I'm comfortable sleeping. I'm probably not going to be the most well rested in the morning, but I can sleep super easy, super fast and do all that stuff. So like comfort to me isn't my main concern when I'm out on a hunt. I like to describe it as I'm not at my home. sitting there watching TV in 71 degree air conditioning. Like a hunt to me is not like supposed to be a 5-star hotel. It's not supposed to be the most comfortable. I agree,
but it's got to be comfortable.
It's got to be comfortable,
like
but it doesn't have to be the most comfortable. That's why sleep systems, like I feel weird talking about it because like I enjoy a little bit of suffering.
Sure.
Just to have more benefits in optics, more benefits on my rifle I carry.
Chip on your shoulder.
What?
Just a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, I was even going to bring up, remember back in the day, the Climate Inertia sleeping pads?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we still sell them.
No.
Could probably no one bought them but me.
What are they?
There was the ones that were kind of like a skeletonized sleeping pad.
Mm-hmm.
So they came in long and irregular. So basically you have your outline of a sleeping pad, and then it's just a bunch of like open space everywhere. And so your sleeping bag would then kind of like go in between it and add, in a sense, like just help you save a ton of weight, but you still get a little bit of insulation. Our value is obviously horrible.
Yeah.
But for super ultra lightweight, like psychos like me who would want to cut ounces.
Yeah, the reason I never gave it a go is because I was just like, it doesn't make sense to me that all the different seams and chambers in the different directions, it just didn't seem like it'd be that durable. And then I am looking for comfort up to a point. Like I'm not like worried about having a 4-inch air pad because I think I'll sleep more comfortably than I will on a 2 or 2.5-inch air pad.
Yeah.
But I do have to be comfortable enough that I sleep good.
Yeah.
So yeah, those never made any sense to me. I do remember. I don't know. I wonder if they even still sell them. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody using one for a really long time.
For a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very nichey.
Mm-hmm.
And most people probably wouldn't get the best sleep. And I would highly not recommend them for a side sleeper. It's definitely kind of a little uncomfortable.
Yeah. Do you ever layer like a Z seat underneath your sleeping pad, your inflatable pad?
If I was camping near a truck, I always would bring one and utilize that, but I would never pack both.
They sleep, so you can. That's the interesting thing about our value is like those are compounding, right? So you could actually stack 2 air pads.
Yeah.
I was just curious as to where you hunt late season quite a bit. I know that guys will put down a closed cell foam sleeping pad, like a Z seat or a Z pad, and then they'll put their pad, the inflatable pad on top of it, and they get like that added insulating benefit from having both. You never do that?
No. Again, I sleep hot.
Yeah.
And I mean, we'll maybe talk about when we talk about sleeping bags, but like I always mention it. I have all these other clothing with me on a hunt. I have down clothes, down jacket, down pants. You know, I probably have some, zip off merino leggings, merino top. Like I'll just add some extra layers on. That's adding my R value.
Yeah.
In a sense.
I like the wide pads.
They take up so much room.
It bothers me if my arms hang off. So like when I go to sleep, I start going to sleep on my back. So I lay on my back and I'll put my hands across my chest like this, interlock my fingers, and my elbows kind of sit off the side, and I do sleep better. I've tried both. I do sleep better with some support underneath each of my elbows. So I do get the 25-incher. So that's interesting. You don't. There's the 20 is so narrow. It feels thin. Yeah. When you go to bed, you just go straight to your side. You don't like fall asleep on your back and then end up on your side. You go straight onto your side. If
you were to design the ultimate elk hunting sleeping pad, what would be like the 2 things that you would look at?
Weight.
So you'd want one sub what? 12.
I mean, as light as possible. But not to the point of the Uber light. Yeah. Like I remember when you bought the Uber light, Neville had the Uber light.
Yeah.
I remember a bunch of people kind of jumping on that train of chasing that lightweight pad. To me, it just the exterior material felt too thin. It didn't feel like durability. Durability.
It's kind of scary. Yeah.
I'd say light to a point, but also durable.
Okay.
Because nothing is worse. Nothing is worse than an air mattress that goes flat.
Yep. And then when we're talking about durability, does it matter to you that some of these pads kind of feel like you're sleeping on like a trash bag? They're really noisy.
That one doesn't bug me.
Doesn't bug you?
No, okay. I don't have any trouble sleeping. Getting to sleep. And I think once you put your sleeping bag on top of it, kind of muffles the sound of it. Every once in a while I'll notice it, but I don't worry too much about the sound. So I would say lightweight to a point, but I'm not willing to sacrifice durability. Yeah, so the Uber Light's not durable enough for me. And if it's 9 ounces?
Yeah, something like that.
8, 9 ounces. So I'd say not that. It's probably too light. So I would say somewhere in that range of 10, 11 to 16 ounces, somewhere in that range.
Durable.
It's got to be durable.
And then what's your ideal R value for a September elk? Elk hunt.
Probably like 3.5, 4, somewhere in that neighborhood. If it's better than that, great. It's not like it can be too high. Like you could take an R value pad that was you could take the X Therm, right, which is the highest R value for that season or for that
7 something
Thermarest. Yeah, you could take that. Like you're not gonna. It's not like you're gonna sleep hotter. You know what I mean? Like too hot. So it doesn't really matter in regards to that. Really, where it comes in handy is when it gets cold and like when you're elk hunting at 10, 5, or 11,000 foot, like it can get pretty cold. So I have to have some R value. Like I've got to have probably 4 or 5.
Yep. And so that
that's why I think that pad
Excite NXT is a 4.5.
See, that's why I think
R
it's
value.
the perfect pad.
It really is, honestly. Durable, fairly lightweight, right thickness. It's not too overly thick.
Does the shape of it matter to you at all? Because a lot of sleeping pads, like Big Agnes pads, Sea to Summit pads, Nemo pads, a lot of those are full rectangle.
Dumb.
Yeah, you're not into
Not
that.
a fan.
Doesn't matter to you?
Doesn't matter. Mummy. Have you ever, side topic, you were using those Big Agnes pads back in the day where you had to take a mummy pad and you got to shove it in the back of your sleeping bag because the sleeping bag didn't have any insulation on the bottom, but it had a sleeve for a sleeping pad to go? Did you ever use one of those?
Never had the bag. I did have the pads. I didn't notice that I slept better on a rectangle pad. To me, it almost seems annoying. Like it's just added space that I don't use.
Yeah, you're never going to use it. And
it's
it's
not like
obviously adding a little bit of weight.
Yeah, I'm not kicking my legs out or, any weird. The only time I could see it is maybe if you were a side sleeper and you like to, kind of sleep in that Z shape, right? Where you've got your legs kind of kicked out to the side. Maybe you get a little extra room on that end. But I would say a mummy pad is the best fit because I don't want to pack extra weight if I don't use it and I don't need it. That's why, I go back to that X Therm the X Therm or the X Lite all the time. It's like the perfect sleeping pad.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of the industry standard? I tell people all the time, like, it's expensive. And I would say that's probably the one downfall of that pad.
Yep.
Is that it's pricey, but it's the best. Just buy it.
Yeah. So one thing too, while we're talking about pads, I want to touch on, I really, really dislike, and I have to throw a brand name out there because it's the only one I can think of. I just lost I'm not going to throw the brand name out there quite yet because I lost the brand name thought. But the screw top of like the valve. So having a screw rather than a push down.
Better.
Way better. You have to have the screw.
Those ones that have the valve where you push the thing in.
Nemo. That's what I'm thinking of.
Nemo has that.
Nemo has the push one. And literally I have one that I use on like my truck camping things where I'm just like, going out and throwing something on the ground because I don't want to wreck my nice expensive one. So I have one of those. And I can't tell you the amount of times I accidentally bump it and the thing pops up and I lose all my air. So Nemo, stop using that. And if any other companies are doing that, I would probably steer clear of it because to me, it doesn't work. If I leave it upright and then I flip it back down, like either way, it seems like it catches on something and has the ability to open up and I lose all my air. Where the screw valve just is foolproof.
Every pad I have that leaks air is of that type where it's that little circular thing and you push the valve down in and usually it's got like a little reverse thing where you blow into it to blow it up and then it seals off as you take your mouth off of it and then you push the little tab in. Every pad that I have in my gear closet in my basement that fails is that type. Yeah, the screw top is way better, way more durable. Have you ever screwed one in so tight you couldn't get it back out?
No.
I have a problem with that.
What do you Hulk?
I don't know. I had a rest last week, my archery rest. I went to tighten in the bolt on it and completely stripped it out on a QA, one of those QAD rests. So
you've been lifting and not telling us?
No, definitely not. Look at his arms. But yeah, if I do, I over tighten things, I guess. But that is a pinch point. I would say screwed in tight enough to hold air, but not so tight that you get the thing locked in and you can't get it back out. Anything else about sleeping pads? That's kind of the basics. I think inflatable's better. I think you sleep more comfortable.
You do. And I was a big holdout of
you were
the foam pads for the longest time just because they are super light.
Yep.
But like the more you start using it, it's not that bad. You can blow them pretty quickly. And
I did go on a hunt one time where I looked over at a guy and he was inflating his air mattress like middle of the day. And he proceeded to take that thing and kind of fold it in the shape of his body, lean it up against a rock, and he was just sitting on it on the bare ground. And that thing had so many holes in it.
Yeah, don't use it as a glassing pad.
It's not a chair.
No.
Yeah, just don't. You got to baby those things. You really do have to baby them. And if you baby them, they'll last you a really, really long time.
Really
I'd say
long time.
that's the best advice I could offer. Sleeping bags. You want to talk bags?
Let's talk sleeping bags.
Let's do one first. Let's just out the gate. Sleeping bag or quilt, which is a super common question I've been getting.
It's tough. I've used both, like both a lot. But I think over the years, I've tried out lots of different quilt and lighting equipment, Western mountaineering, Stone Glacier quilts. I kind of moved away from quilts because I just kind of like having a mummy hood, like having something over my head for if it gets cold. Because inevitably I'm going to use a quilt, and on the hunt it's going to get cold enough where I'm going to wish I just had a normal sleeping bag. And sleeping bag to quilt weight is not that severe in a sense. So it's like if you're going to just buy one, a sleeping bag seems like a better investment than trying to buy a quilt, because you're going to probably need a sleeping bag as well. You need to, no matter what.
Yeah, I had a DM not too long ago. And we went back and forth talking quilts versus sleeping bags. And he kept coming back and saying, yeah, that quilt though is just like so tempting. It's just really tempting. Like the weight of them. And I've got Stone Glacier. I've got Enlightened equipment as well. I've also got Western mountaineering. And I wanted to love quilts. I just have found out I don't love them.
Yeah.
I don't like them. And the reason I don't like them is because I don't think they sleep that warm.
Yeah.
So the back of a quilt is essentially open, right? So you've got a foot box that's enclosed, and then you take your sleeping pad, and it's got these straps that go underneath the quilt that kind of, you put the straps to the pad so that they hold it together. So it kind of ends up like a top blanket for most of your body. I just find there's a couple things I don't like. One, I miss a hood because you lose a lot of body heat through your head and your neck. So I definitely feel like I sleep colder in that regard, lose heat. The other one, your back. So your whole back is
you're on the pad. On
the pad. And I hate the way that feels.
You get sticky.
Yeah, I hate it.
You get stuck to it.
I don't like the feeling of it, for one.
Do you realize too, when you stick your pad in there, no matter what strap system, if it's Stone Glaciers, Western mountaineering, and lighting equipment, like you get so compressed to the upper part of the quilt. Like you don't have a lot of room. You can't it feels like it's awkward as a side sleeper to turn because
it's holding you to the bag.
It's holding you to it. And so your bag is not able to move when you move. Like you can't roll to the side because you have to roll your whole body because the pad comes with you.
Yeah. It doesn't move with you as well.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah. I don't like that. And then the only thing I actually like is the weight savings, but I can't justify it because I just don't sleep that good.
Yeah. So just pulling it up real quick, I'm just comparing Stone Glacier because that's what I have on my computer right now. 1 pound, 6.6 ounces for the Chilkoot 32 quilt.
1 pound, how much?
1 pound, 6.6.
Okay.
Temperature rating of 32.
Yep. That tracks. I would say most quilts are right around that 20 ounce mark.
Yep. And then we're looking at, just a Chilkoot 15 sleeping bag, 2 pounds, 3 ounces for a 15 degree bag.
Okay.
So your 13 ounce difference. Right?
Is that right? What'd you say?
1 pound, 6.
Okay.
Oh, so 19 ounces. Sorry, the opposite. 19 ounces.
You're like
2.3 to 1.6.
You're like 12, 13 ounces, somewhere in that range. Yeah, in my sleeping bag, most of my down mummy style sleeping bags are right about 2 pounds. And like I said, most of my quilts, I've got the one quilt that I do use the most is a 10 degree Enlightened equipment, which is I think right around 20 ounces. So I'm not saving a ton. Maybe 10 ounces, I guess, which is significant, but not enough that I'm willing to give up sleep. The other thing I'll say about quilts, I remember talking to the guy over at Western Mountaineering, And I was telling him, yeah, I've got this Enlightened Equipment 10-degree quilt. And he was just like, yeah, right. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, there's no way. He's like, a quilt, I don't care how stuffed that thing is. I don't care if it's got all the down in the world and it's 1,000 loft, right?
Yeah.
That fill power. He's like, you'll never sleep down to those digits in a quilt because you just lose too much body heat.
There's so many air gaps everywhere. The pad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it stuck with me, and I don't know if it's completely true. I have survived. I say survived because it felt like survival. I have survived some really, really cold nights in a quilt with all my down layers on in conjunction with it. I just don't sleep that good.
Yeah. So you remember that hunt you and I did with Born and Raised guys back in the day? So I took
Wyoming.
Yeah, I took. You got to say the state.
Sure. I think we said it in the film.
I think we probably said it. Yeah. So I took my Western Mountaineering, was it the Astrolite quilt? Froze my ass off a couple of those nights. Like towards the later part of September, it got real cold, like frost in the morning. And, I had the X-Lite pad. It wasn't like, I had a crazy
crappy
pad.
R value, yeah.
And I was cold. My head was cold. I was constantly trying to put something over my head, trying to find a beanie in the middle of the night. Like I didn't sleep great at all. I'm sure weight savings, I saved a little bit, but did that offset were the weight savings beneficial for the sleep I was losing? No, because I was probably more groggy the next day because of the sleep rather than because of how, what my pack weighed.
Yeah. I'd rather pack the weight to stay warm and sleep better. And the only time I use quilts anymore, to be completely honest, is like summer scouting or like low country antelope hunting. And I'll use it as a blanket over like if I'm laying on a cot. Other than that, I've decided that a regular sleeping bag, mummy style sleeping bag, is the way to go. And I would say I use it 99% of the time versus a quilt.
Yeah. Summer scouting right now, I still use my quilt. Like if I'm running up on the weekend scouting and just throwing something on the ground and sleeping at night, quilt's great for that. Last year at a high country, muzzleloader tag, all the summer scouting I did, that was quilt based. Yeah. But once it gets into the season, I feel like for comfort and just safety, like I've been on muzzleloader hunting in the high country and I've gotten, 14 inches of snow in early September. Like, do I want to be in a quilt in that situation?
No.
Or do I want to be safe and smart and have a sleeping bag? Sleeping bag to me is way better.
I agree. Do you want to talk down versus synthetic? Do you have any synthetic bags?
No,
I don't either. Actually, I lie. I do.
Oh, wait, the first Sitka one that they came out with, that was synthetic. I still have that one.
I do have a couple then because I do have that one.
Yeah, but we had this discussion in New Zealand with that was borderline.
That was borderline to a point in New Zealand, the amount of weather and rain that I actually thought maybe synthetic.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel the same way about the discussion we just had about quilts and sleeping bags. I kind of feel the same about down and synthetic. I think down 99% of the time is the best option.
It's superior. I would agree.
But you have to keep it dry.
Yep.
And there were a couple times in New Zealand where I felt like I'm pushing the limits of being able to keep this thing dry.
Yeah. And not because it was sitting out in the rain, because of condensation, and you kind of hopping in there and you might be wet with your rain gear because you had a one-person shelter. So your rain gear is probably touching your sleeping bag.
I think it's just the amount of moisture in the air.
Moisture in the air.
Yeah,
and everything.
just so wet. Yeah. And it never did get completely wet to the point where I was like, oh, I might be in danger here, sleeping cold. I still had loft. It was still holding loft. But yeah, I would say it's super rare, but you do have to keep it dry. But down being more packable, which I know you're pretty bullish about. Like okay, this is a question for you I wanted to include. What size stuff sack do you use?
For the Peaks, Stone Glacier, usually a 13 liter. 13 liter compression sack. Yeah. You can sometimes get by with a little bit smaller one, but then I feel like, am I damaging the down by like pushing it in something so small? I get a little concerned. So usually 13 liter for me works well.
That's a good point. I've read that 3 days is kind of the tipping point for like really starting to permanently damaging your down.
And that's why on any of these, like, okay, so obviously went to New Zealand and we had to pack sleeping bag. I didn't pack my sleeping bag until the day we were leaving.
Yeah, I
For
didn't
compress it.
either.
I don't want to compress that thing. You can see right here. I mean, if you can see on the table, like I have 3 of my favorite. I have a Quilt, Stone Glacier, and I have the Peak sleeping bag, all in their normal sacks, like poofed out. Like I don't want to damage that down because it's expensive.
I hang mine over a hanger, or I hang it over like a door in my equip room. So I just lay them over the door so that they're always lofted out. But yeah, I did read 3 days is kind of the tipping point. You don't want to store them compressed more than 3 days. Down fill. So fill power.
Yep.
What do you know about fill power and fill rate?
Not as much as you. I know that. I just always go for 850 fill plus.
850 plus.
Yeah. That's my standard number I go to.
Do you know do you know what that number is?
No, I would not be able to tell you.
So it's kind of an industry standard of how they test it. I could read the official, but essentially what they do is they take an ounce it down, they put it in a cylinder, and then they take a small weight, and I don't know it off the top of my head. I can't remember how much it weighs. And they let it sit, I guess, for a minute, and the distance that it compresses essentially is the power. So obviously more lofty won't compress as much, right? So those bigger clusters that are more lofty won't compress as much. And those, in essence, it's the amount that compresses. So it's a indication of how lofty the down is. So the more lofty the down is, the better it's going to trap those air spaces between the clusters, and those excuse me, my voice keeps cracking like I'm 12.
Yeah, I can't think today either. So like we're both here just going.
You got long COVID.
Yeah.
So those air spaces between those clusters actually traps that warm air, and that's what provides your insulation, your heat, right? So 850 is kind of like, I would say there are down on the market. I know that like Western Mountaineering, you've talked to those guys, their down actually tests higher, and I've seen some testings that have rated up to like 1,000 plus.
Yeah.
But that's why that down is more expensive. So really lofty clusters of down and a real high quality sleeping bag, or even a jacket for that matter, they're going to be more expensive. And in essence, what it gets you is you can use less down to an equivalent of a cheaper down, a less quality down, and it will sleep as warm. So like I read in theory, you could use 50 grams of a 900 fill down. So 50 grams, 900 fill. It would be the same warmth of 100 grams of 450 fill. So your pretty common ratings are like 650. I would say I see that quite a bit. 650. There are some bags that are 700, and then you kind of jump up to 850, and then some companies will say that their down is 900 or even 1,000 plus.
Yeah. So
what you get with it, you'll sleep warmer because it's going to trap more dead air space. They're loftier, so it's a better high quality down, but it is more expensive, and you do have to keep it dry. Fill rate is interesting. I look at fill rate, which is like the actual ounces of down in something. I look at it a lot on a down jacket, because I want to hit that parameter. I kind of know what I like, which is like that's 5 to 7 ounces, I would say, of 850 plus fill. I don't look at it that much with a sleeping bag. I'm more looking at the total weight of the bag. So like the bag I'm looking for, temperature rating, we haven't even touched on it, but we will here in a sec. But I'm looking for typically like a 10 to 20 degree bag. 15 is a pretty common temperature metric for a sleeping bag. So I would say most often I'm looking for a 15 degree bag. I'm looking for that thing to weigh 2 pounds. Under 2 pounds would be great if I could get it. And then I'm looking for the highest fill power that I can get. It's going to sleep warmer. So right around that 2 pound mark is kind of what if it's got that much down and it's a high quality down, like it's going to sleep warm. Do you buy long bags?
I do.
Okay. You're tall, obviously.
Yep. There's some long bags that are obviously they're pushing the limit on my length, but again, I'm a side sleeper too. So I don't feel like being, 6'5" that I am too long for a bag, because I just kind of curl up a little bit and make it work. But I definitely have to get a long bag, which deep down in me, I hate it because it's heavier. Yeah. But it's what you got to have.
I get questions. I remember talking to a guy and he was like, I want to I want to sleep real comfortable, like I want to burrow down in my sleeping bag. And he was about 5'4", 5'5".
Ooh, I know where you're going here.
Yeah, not a very tall guy, but he was like, I want to buy the long. Yeah, bad idea, right?
Bad idea. You got to heat all that with your body heat. So you're not staying as warm as you should be.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're going with this?
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. Because I get this question a ton. It's in two different, metrics, I guess you might say, length, and then also just the width of the bag. I get people all the time saying, I want like a real girthy bag. I want like a lot of room to expand out in. I want to be able to like put my shoulders out, my arms out. I want to have extra length so that I can like burrow down in that bag.
Mm-hmm.
And I advise people against it because you want just like a pair of pants. We talk about pants fitting really well, or a pack to fit you really well. You want your sleeping bag to fit you as well as it possibly can. So like your shoulder width, if you're not like a super big, broad shouldered guy that needs that added width at the shoulders, you shouldn't get it. Yeah. You should get like a standard width bag. And me, I'm like narrower framed through the shoulders. I'm not like big, broad shouldered. I sleep warmer in a regular width bag. Mm-hmm. So be aware of that.
Yeah, don't get.
What'd you pull that one out for?
I just want to pull it out because we didn't. Yeah, we're talking about quilts and like obviously the back strap system on here. I mean, it's not going to be the greatest on the YouTube video side of the podcast, but you can see like down below as it does have this little section here where your pad slides into. You kind of got a decent foot box. Yep. But I always feel like when you put your pad in there and everything's there, like your feet don't have much room and your body doesn't have that much room when you slip your pad in. And the straps kind of get annoying. They're kind of always moving around and like strap it on there. It's a great concept for, again, summer scouting. Yeah. But after that,
probably not it.
No, go on the quilt side. So I just wanted to bust that out quick. And you see how lofty it is. I mean, circulation makes a great bag.
For sure.
I mean, that's a quilt, but same thing in the bag.
Yep. But yeah, that was one little piece I would add is just when you're buying a bag, try to get a bag that actually fits you. So if you're 5'5", you don't need a long.
Yeah.
I remember I did buy at one point. I bought a Western Mountaineering regular length bag. I'm about 6'2". Normal length bags go up to 6 foot, and then the long version they say is up to 6'5". I bought a regular version, and I felt it wasn't comfortable. Like it just wasn't quite long. I felt like my head was always in the top of the the hood. And I ended up getting rid of it and sold it to get something that fit me better. But yeah, be aware when you buy a bag, the bag should actually fit your shape well, because you'll sleep warmer. Otherwise, you're just losing body heat that you could retain and would sleep warmer. Let's talk models. What models of bags do you like and why?
Mummy bag.
Yeah, you got specific like versions, brands that you like?
Stone Glacier Chilkoot.
Okay,
I love it for a lot of reasons, but I feel like it's a good weight, lightweight, 15 degree always. It's a good hood. It's kind of I can move around in it. It feels like it moves with me. It's not too big, not too small. Got a good foot box. My feet can kind of hang around in there. And I don't know, I just like everything about it, except for that I feel like it gets a lot of condensation. For whatever reason, the outside of that Chilkoot always gets wet to me, like in the morning.
Doesn't move moisture as well as you think.
Yeah. Whereas my Peak Solace bag, it's a little bit heavier because it does have different features in it.
Is that bag heavier?
Yeah.
The Peaks?
Yeah.
What's a 15 degree Peak Solace weigh?
The tall, 2 pounds, 8.6 ounces. And then for a 15 degree Chilkoot, you're talking about 2 pounds, 3 ounces.
I didn't realize that theirs was heavier.
It's a little heavier because it does have a little beefier full zip and a little, it seems like a stronger outer shell, I do believe, than the Chilkoot.
It's got the waterproof foot box.
Yep, waterproof foot box again, which that's definitely noticeable right away because the waterproof foot box is great when you're giant human like I am trying to fit in a teepee style shelter where I'm pushing on both ends.
Yeah, or if your feet are hanging out.
Or I'm slipping down at night, my feet are touching the wall. But for whatever reason, like I could see it even in Omar when he's waking up in the morning in New Zealand, like the outside of his Chilkoot was wet. You could touch it, was wet. Mine felt completely dry for whatever reason. Whatever material difference is on the Peaks compared to Stone Glacier, it doesn't get as wet when you're sleeping at night in a single wall shelter.
Yeah,
with
their bag
condensation.
also has armholes, right? You can
Armholes
stick-
are pretty cool.
Do you ever use that?
Which we'll get to in a little bit if we want to talk about now. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
So moose hunting.
Okay.
Up top, we were sitting there glassing for moose. It's cold. I literally sat in my sleeping bag and glassed.
And just put your arms out the armhole. The
I put the
armholes.
armhole.
Okay.
I've done some mule deer hunting on Sitka's first version that they had of theirs with the armholes, which they kind of, I don't know who else, maybe someone else. Someone always pioneered things before us gets into hunting.
Did, yeah.
But outside of hunting, probably
gotcha.
someone
Oh,
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
But Sitka kind of brought it to hunting.
Yep.
And that was really cool. It does look awkward if you're trying to walk around and you got a saggy sleeping bag hanging
Sure.
down below your legs. But,
Yeah.
but like you can walk around in it. You can sit there and glass. I can stick my arms out and stoke the fire in my teepee at night. I can cut wood. I can make coffee in the morning. I can do all these things. And then it adds that survival piece to it where I can then, if I want to leave my shelter, take all my normal clothes, all my hunting stuff, but bring my sleeping bag kind of with me as an extra layer. Or maybe if you don't have a nice pair of down clothes, you could use this in a sense as a down jacket pant thing when you're sitting there glassing. Yes, could add wear and tear to it. So you got to watch out how you're sitting down and, maybe have a ground sheet with you, but
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It's so use case dependent. Like I was thinking, so I have a Peaks one. There's a couple, I never have used the armholes, but then as I think about the style of hunting that I do, I'm not typically sitting cold in the morning, like doing a lot of glassing, So for me, I just never use it. It's always, packed in my backpack and I'm kind of moving. And so mostly what I do is archery hunting, but so that I never use. The other thing I'm not sold on, I'm curious, is the center zip.
Center zip. Yeah.
I don't like it.
Center zip's very interesting, very hard to get
Do
used
you
to.
like it?
It's grown on me. But again, I'm a side sleeper. So I don't benefit at all from a center zip. I feel like as a side sleeper, it's easier for me just to go face that side that the zipper's on and I can zip and move it back and forth. But the center zip, where I've kind of enjoyed it, is it's easier for me in a way to regulate heat.
The side zip.
No, the center zip.
Center zip.
Because like I can just reach down in the middle and just vent the bottom. And you can do it on another sleeping bag as long as I have two zippers. But the side one, it feels like it's always folding over on my down and it's not opened up because I'm a side sleeper again. But since it's a center zip and I'm a side sleeper, I can just zip that bottom part and open it up. And now all that heat's coming in. And since I'm a side sleeping, I'm not pushing that down. Does that make sense? It's more open to the air.
I feel exactly the opposite.
Really?
Yeah.
You feel like you can vent it better on a side zip?
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
So, and it's for it's interesting because it's almost for the exact same reason.
Yeah.
So if I sleep on my side,
Yep.
if I roll onto my side and I'm trying to regulate like my heat, if it's hot at night and I open that zipper, I end up rolling my shoulder up and out. So my shoulder's like fully exposed at that point because it's a center zip.
Yeah.
And like my arms and stuff will get cold. Whereas like a side zip, I zip that thing open clear to the foot box. I lay on my side. It's like I'm not exposed, but I've got that ventilation kind of going out the side. Yeah. So for me, that's funny. It's like exact opposites. I don't really like the center zip because I feel like I'm always exposing my arms when I roll onto my side to sleep.
Yeah, because like we're saying similar.
We're saying the same thing. We're just different.
Yeah.
Do you sleep when you sleep on your side? Do you roll with your bag?
Yeah. I do roll with my bag, and it seems like that's why with the center zip I don't roll as much, and I kind of seems like it stays center. For whatever reason.
I don't roll. I roll in my bag. It's like it stays put. And I'm rolling inside.
Yeah. But I also like the center zip because, like I said, I can just zip that foot box when open easier. Yeah. And I know you can do it on the side, but it seems like it's easier for me to reach down, zip that, just have my foot box open, keep everything else done because I like my upper body. I don't know. It's maybe because I slept in tents all the time when I, worked in Glacier National Park, and like I always like things over my head. So I like having.
Yeah, that's right.
I always just like having something there. So that's why that mummy hood's always great, and I always zip it up all the way to the top if I can. One more use case for the armholes in like the peaks of the Stone Glacier or the Sitka bag. Do you see me? Oh, you were in the shelter with me, but like reading a book.
Oh yeah, I could
just
see
stick
that.
your arms out and like reading a Kindle or reading a normal book. It's like super convenient because your core's warm.
That's true.
And then your hands are just out.
Yeah, I could see that being a nice.
One funny caveat here: have you ever, because you zipped up your sleeping bag all the way, woke up freaking out that you're just like stuck in a sleeping bag?
Like I couldn't get
It's
out.
So
Like-
effing dark out, and you
like
don't know
claustrophobic?
you don't know if you're up or down or anything's going
No,
on.
I've never had that happen.
Dude, I had that happen like multiple times at hunting season. Yeah, it doesn't happen like maybe like once during a hunt where I'm like sleeping, and all of a sudden like I feel like I'm just locked in there, and I need to like unzip it really quick, and I can't get out. So all of a sudden I'm like feel like I'm breaking it.
Are you dreaming?
I think I'm dreaming. When I'm
Wow,
sleeping.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and I
I've
was
never
like,
had that.
and especially when it's like just pitch black, like I'm talking no moon.
Nope, never.
That's when it normally happens. Where I'm like, am I facing the wrong way? Am I in my tent? Am I out of my tent? Like wild dreams.
Yeah, I've never had that.
Never happened.
I will say the center zip is nice. The one thing I do like about it is if the older I've gotten, the more times I have to get up in the night to pee. It's way easier to unzip center zip. It's easier to find it and just
The thing though, I
climb in and out of it.
The thing I get annoyed though with the side zip is there's a lot of times where I'm like, damn, I wish that zip was on the other side.
Yeah.
But it kind of depends on where you put
Sure.
your shelter.
Well, you mean, and you can buy your bags. You can buy them left zip or right zip.
So some companies, yeah.
That's probably, something that you ought to be aware of if you're buying a new bag. So as a right hander, I like mine on the left. So
Yeah.
I like a left zip. So I reach across with my right hand and zip it. Otherwise you're trying to use your left hand, which you don't have as much dexterity in. But yeah, that's another consideration that you got to think about, either left or right zip.
And zipper quality is high up there.
Is there a true zipper that does not get stuck?
I think the Chilkoot and the Peaks are dang close to being really good. My Western Mountain area, I do recall it's catching a little bit.
Yeah.
The worst one of all of them. Have you ever had a marmot sleeping bag?
Oh yeah, I have one. The helium.
We joked all the time when I was in the park working in Montana that if we had a grizzly bear come in, we'd all be little tiny burritos for the bear.
You'd be a blue burrito.
Because we can't get out because the zipper's stuck all the time.
Yeah,
It's usually those zippers that are reversible. The ones that come up and over and like the zipper can go on both sides.
Yep.
Those are the ones that seem to always get caught. Where you want to be able to grab it and just like zip, 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 move it up and down.
I've
easy.
never had a bag that's like totally foolproof. It seems like they all get stuck at some point.
Dude, some of these new bags I feel like are way better. Like that marmot one just maybe scarred me and I just hate that thing.
Yeah. Any other bags that you use that you like that you would recommend? Temperature rating, we glossed over it a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously archery elk hunting, you can use a 15 bag. Late season mule deer hunting, I'm still a 15 degree bag. I'm not gonna say never, but I don't use a 0 degree bag. I don't see the purpose in buying a 0 degree bag because it's too hot for a September type hunt. And then later in the season, I have a stove anyway. And so that's the same scenario again. I can just add other layers if I get cold, but I don't. So I don't think a 0 degree is worth it, especially the weight of a 0 degree bag.
So I just took a question yesterday, this exact question. So the guy had, I think, a third season deer tag. He asked me, should I buy a 0 degree bag or should I buy a 15 degree bag and layer up when it gets real cold? I think he should buy the 0 degree bag.
What?
Yeah.
I think we had this topic on one of the Q&As. And I also mentioned sometimes I will do a 30 degree bag on a late season hunt and add more clothes. Because I'm that crazy.
I do. And I did.
Why?
I think it's it's a little bit based on the individual. So for me, I sleep cold.
Okay.
Right. I think I do anyway when I'm backpacking. So I feel like I want the added warmth of a 0 degree bag on a really late season hunt, just because I want it to be warm enough that I don't have to sleep in all my layers. Like I want to be able to have my layers in my backpack ready to go.
Do you?
Go ahead.
Should I jump on this? Do you sleep just boxers? Or do you sleep like boxers and like a
boxers and a base layer?
Base layer on top.
Yeah, boxers and a base layer. So I do. That's like how I sleep most comfortable. If I was on a third season hunt, I might be wearing long johns, so I might be wearing base layer bottoms, base layer top. And the other reason I offered to him is like I don't really like sleeping in my puffy gear because I'm using that gear in the field. So if it's like wet, snowy, rainy, if I get some moisture build up in that, if I'm hiking, in a jacket and it gets a little bit wetted out, and then I climb in my sleeping bag, it's pulling all that moisture out, through the down as I'm sleeping. And like I'm getting my bag a little bit more wet without the ability to maybe dry it out. So that's why I think a 0 degree bag is the way to go.
Do you think though that you're more apt to that because you are such a gear nerd and you do have multiple options with sleeping bags.
Oh yeah. If I was buying one, I would buy a 15.
Yeah.
If I was buying just a bag to go third season
hunting,
deer
okay.
hunting,
So
I would buy a 0 degree bag.
That's I might agree with you slightly on that, just because like if I was telling someone buy one bag, I would never tell them to buy a 0 degree bag.
Nor would I. I would tell them 15, 10 or 15.
Because like you can't use a 0 degree bag in the summer.
Yeah.
You're going to hate yourself if you have it because it's so hot. Yeah. And then like even like a September times 0 is not going to be enough. But like if you do have the means to get multiple ones, and sleeping bags are very expensive too, but they last a long time. Which with care and washing them often, like you can get. I have sleeping bags that I have 20 plus years on. Yeah,
I have a Marmot Helium, which was like the first like really decent bag that I bought. I still have it. We still use it all the time. It's 27 years old, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
25 at least, I would say. But yeah, I've had it forever. And as long as you store them loose, I do wash mine. That was another question I got was how do you wash it? So I just use a top load washer, not with a center drum. It's going to beat it up and pull it apart. I wash it by itself, and then I do use like the Granger's down wash. And then tumble dry with some tennis balls. At high heat was what I do, and just dry that thing really out, break up those clusters. And I wash my bags probably
mid-season. Do you wash them or once a year?
I probably wash mine a couple times a year.
Really?
I would say after a hunt, I'll usually wash it. And then if I'm doing some scouting in the summer and stuff, I usually wash it at least one time before, like maybe like in August or something before I really get going for the year. But in all the years that I've had that bag, like I've washed it multiple times and I haven't had any issues with it as far as wear and tear, or feeling like it was less lofty than it was before, as long as you do it right.
Yeah, I still have a Feather Friends bag from, I don't know, early 2000s. Like way early 2000s. The bag's still kicking. Love that bag. One of my favorite bags of all time.
Yeah. I think you do need multiple bags, though.
You kind of do.
At least 2.
I think a sleeping bag, and again, I'm sure we're going to touch on this, but I think it's one of those things that it is worth investing in. Like, would you rather spend, here's a question I got for you. Would you rather spend money on a high quality sleeping bag or a high quality sleeping pad?
For sure the bag.
Yeah, you'd rather spend more money on the bag, skimp on the pad a little bit, rather than buying a really expensive pad and having a really cheap sleeping bag. Yep.
Why? One, just longevity. I think the pad is more likely to get wear and tear issues regardless of how much, how much it is or how you baby it. And then I think the bag is like, it's going to keep you warm. Like a pad for sure has the ability to insulate, but what's actually going to do the bulk of the work is going to be your bag. So I would rather spend my money. And I've said the same thing. I think a good sleeping bag, if you're spending, nights out in the woods pretty consistently, I think it's one of the best places that you can spend your money. Yeah. Sleeping bags and
they rank right up there with boots and backpack.
For sure. Yeah. Right up there. I think it's one of the best places you could spend money.
So you think you can tell the difference between a $600 bag, which is probably average cost for a lot of high end sleeping bags. Obviously there can be more expensive ones compared to, let's say, I'm just gonna throw a price out there, like a $200 bag.
For sure.
That you would buy at like Walmart.
Absolutely. I had a guy comment on my gear list and he's like, Kelty, you can get the same thing from Kelty. Or like Kelty's a, known brand. They've been around forever. They're more of a, bargain option, I would say. Can you get by in a Kelty sleeping bag and a tent? Yeah,
sure.
You can.
Sure.
You will get by better with a Stone Glacier or a Western Mountaineering.
And you'll get the years out of it.
Yeah, and you'll get longevity out of it. Like you'll sleep better, you'll be warmer. It's just a better piece of equipment.
Yeah, so it's always one of those hard things when we talk about gear, because obviously this is what we live and breathe, hunting. And so we've built up our gear list over multiple years. And yes, every now and then, we'll be gifted a bag from a company to try out, but it's like we still buy a lot of this stuff. And it's like I put my money on sleeping bags way back in the day, just like I know you have. Like it's one of those places that you invest in it, you're gonna get longevity out of it. And I think it's well worth it, because like amount of times when I've had bad experiences or friends have bad experiences in sleeping bags, it's those cheaper bags. They tear apart. All of a sudden you have down flying all over the place, and it's getting
just
beat
not
up,
lofty,
not lofty,
warm,
not adding warmth when you need it. And like I don't know, maybe I'll ask you this question, but I like throwing wet gear inside my sleeping bag at night when I'm sleeping to let it dry off. Like
I try not to.
It's exactly. But like, when things are a little bit damp, I'll throw it in there. Like I have a wet glove in New Zealand. I threw the wet glove in there. It was dry in the morning. Like I had one or a pair of my socks were not completely soaked, but I tried to, wring them out as best I could, and I threw them in there, and they were, almost dry in the morning. Yes, I did have a little slight damp spot in my sleeping bag, but I still trusted my bag enough to hey, it's going to be fine. The next night, my body heat will do what it needs to do to dry up more of my sleeping bag. And
yeah. When I'm archery elk hunting, I sleep in my socks every night, and my socks are drenched. Like they're sweaty.
Yeah.
They're pretty manky, pretty nasty.
Yeah.
I sleep in them every night, and the next morning I wake up with dry socks, and the bag will essentially move that moisture out to the top, the surface, and then sometimes if it gets a little bit damp or if I've had some rain, I like to take my bag out midday, throw it over a log, and let it dry out and kind of loft. But
and it seems like the more quality bags, when you throw them out in the sun for a little bit to dry, they dry quick.
Oh, they dry quick, and
it's amazing how much they dry.
Loft right up.
Yeah,
man, they just get all puffy.
Like even taking this, I took this one bag out right now, and you can see even though it wasn't in the bag and it was pretty open, it's getting more lofty all the time. That's why I store these things not in compression sack, not in bags. I keep them. It's amazing what they can do. It's a good piece of gear.
So is that your favorite bag?
I've had more years on the Chilkoot. And again, before that, at a Western Mountaineering bag, I sold that one. And then I had my Feathered Friends for the longest time. I think now, though, the Peak Solace 15 is probably my favorite bag of all time.
Gotcha.
It's, again, a little heavier than the Chilkoot, but not by much. But just that other material, the features, the zipper works really well. The mummy fits me great. Being able to stick my hands out. It's very lofty. It's a great bag. Yeah. I think that's my all-time favorite bag. I
would say my favorite, maybe I'll put them into categories. So I think if you're trying to buy a bag and you're trying to save a little bit of money, I think the best bag you can buy for that lower cost, and again, it's not cheap, but I think the Marmot Helium is a really nice bag for the money.
Yeah.
I think if you shop a sale, you can typically pick it up for $400 maybe. But I think it's one of the best bags for the money. My very favorite bag over a lot of years has been the Western Mountaineering Versalite. Super lofty. I don't know what kind of geese those guys got, but their bags are so lofty. And then recently, and I've used them all. I've used the Stone Glacier. It's been good for me. It's probably a bit roomier than I need, to be honest. And where it's heavier, a little bit, 2 pounds, 3 ounces, even though it's only 3 ounces, I can shave 3 ounces and sleep in a Versalite and sleep as warm. So to me, it's a spot that I can save a little weight. And then, the Peaks, like I said, I like the bag. I like the down. I like the quality. I like the idea of, armholes. I just never use them. And then the center zip, like I said, is not my jam.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, I've been using that Argali. So the Argali Alpine in a 20 degree, and it's been really good. And that'll probably be the bag I end up taking most often, I would say, this year. So
what do you think sets up apart the Argali bag in your mind?
It's a little roomier. It fits me pretty well. So it's more roomy than my Versalite from Western Mountaineering. I don't think it's as roomy as the Stone Glaciers. The exterior fabric just has a nice feel. It's comfortable. It's got kind of a silky feel to it. I should probably know what it's made out of, but off the top of my head, I don't. But I like the feel of that bag. It's lofty. The down feels, good quality. I haven't been using it with this little pillow attachment.
Their pillow's kind of cool.
Yeah, it has buttons essentially that you can button in, and then you can stuff your down pants or your down jacket inside that to get that added. I just been using a regular, inflatable pillow, but that's a cool feature if somebody wanted to use it.
Nice work, Brad.
Yeah, really nice work. Genuinely nice work, because it's not if you're putting out a sleeping bag, it's not like you're reinventing.
Yeah, and that was what I thought was very interesting when Argali released their sleeping bags. There was a lot of hype. A lot of people talking about a sleeping bag. Wow, this thing's really awesome. I was I had to start looking into it. Okay, what's set this apart? Because a sleeping bag to me pretty much is a sleeping bag.
Sure.
Okay, are you reinventing the wheel? Is there something new you're doing? But a lot of people loved everything about that bag, and rightfully so.
I like the feel of the material. I like the cut. The down's good, high quality down, lofty. It's a 20 degree, so it's a little bit, I save a little bit of weight, and I still feel like it sleeps warm.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of my round out as far as bags. If I was recommending bags, that'd be my recommendation. Take a look at those 4.
Yep.
Tents. Do you want to talk some tents real quick?
Before we jump into that one,
Yeah. What do you got?
do you want to talk? Can we talk pillows for a little bit?
Oh yeah.
You mentioned
I
pillows.
use one.
Yeah, you mentioned right pillows right there. So I go back and forth on pillows a lot. For a while I used nothing. I was like, okay, let's take my down jacket, kind of roll it up into the hood, sleep on that. That was great. Started trying out some of those really ultralight inflatable pillows from all sorts of different brands. All of them make really good ones. I always felt like those squirted out of my sleeping bag for whatever reason at night. I tried to lock it in there, but I woke up and I'm still sleeping on my arm.
And they will blow away also.
Yeah. Yes, they will blow away.
Yep.
To the point where I recently picked up, probably 2 years ago, a Z-Packs. They have like basically it's like Dyneema on one side, and then the other side has like this little fleecy thing to it, and it's like a bag, basically stuff sacks. You basically take a bunch of your down clothing and shove it in there, and you kind of zip it up, and then you can flip it back around the other side. Basically, it's like a Dyneema bag, so it's like a dual purpose thing, and that was kind of cool because it's super lightweight. Being a Dyneema bag, I think maybe an ounce it weighs or less than that, and you stuff the clothes you have. And I kind of like that idea, and then it has a little thing on it where you can kind of like strap it to your pad so it stays on your pad, so you basically can just sleep over top of your sleeping bag and then kind of lay on that. So now where I'm thinking about going back to just nothing again and just using my down clothes, because like,
why? To save weight?
I don't save weight in a way, but like still, no matter what I use, like everything does seem to like get away from me at night. Maybe I just I don't know what it is.
You're trying to get away as well.
Yeah, and I don't really roll around that much. I'll roll from my left side to my right side, but I'm not like an aggressive sleeper. Like my girlfriend would even say that too. Like, you don't move at night. Like you really stay in the same spot. But the pillows they get gone.
Really?
And I wake up and they're like just in the tent in random places.
You're just losing them.
So like, I don't know, the down sleeping bag thing, rolling up in the hood, like that works for me. And I like having things with multiple purpose. And so I've kind of gone back to either just the Z-Packs pillow or just using my down clothing. But I do like Brad's from Regali, his new pillow that does
it's super soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got like some micro fleece on the one side, and then you can stuff it with the actual loft in it itself. It feels like down. It's not lofty enough that I would sleep comfortably on it. But if you stuff your down jacket or your down pants in there, in addition to, it would definitely be more comfortable.
Also, his name for his pillow, Argali Elite Dream backpacking pillow. I mean, when you say Elite Dream,
the Elite Dream,
and it's sold out on his website.
Yeah,
like that's saying something right there.
I just use the little Sea to Summit Aero ultralight pillow, which is an inflatable, and I've had it for many years. And every once in a while I will wake up and it'll have migrated somewhere. Yeah. It's kind of a horseshoe shape. What I do with it is I just stick it in the hood of my sleeping bag. Yeah. And it stays put well enough that I sleep pretty well on it. And then that's another one. I like the fact that I can inflate it to like the proper level. So if I'm a side sleeper and I don't want that thing like too inflated, so it's kinking my neck, I can deflate it a little bit and lay right into it.
As also, I was looking at the Argali one right now on GOHUNT's website. We're also sold out as well.
Wow, popular item.
And a pillow is a pretty decent pillow when it has a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
Like, who'd be reviewing a pillow unless it's really good?
And what's funny is that it's like one of those little understated pieces of gear that obviously people are interested in because it's sold out everywhere. Yeah. Gotta have a pillow to sleep. And I don't know, the down stuffing your down jacket or your pants into something and just sleeping on that. I did that for a lot of years, but to me, it would always flatten out and move, and it was weird shapes, or you'd catch a zipper, on your jacket on the side of your face, and I just never slept that comfortably.
I don't know if there's something to be said about this too. Like, you're putting all your body oils onto something that's meant to save you and you're out in the mountains later on.
Sure.
So are you
probably
putting wear and tear in that down jacket?
I'm sure you are.
Yeah, that you don't need to be doing. So there's a thought process there
you're
too.
Slobbering on it.
Yeah. Drooling everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, pillows.
Don't forget your pillow.
Don't forget your pillow.
It's a pretty critical piece of your sleep system.
Yeah. And people be like, oh, stay hard. Like, don't need a pillow. But it's like,
I need one.
You need one, Trail.
Stay soft. Yeah.
Yeah. Stay soft in the mountains.
Yeah. Tents. Do you want to talk tents real quick?
Yeah. Let's dive into some tents.
What are you using for tent? What do you like and why?
This is another one of those things I think you need multiple tents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I won't go in the Alpine with a teepee. Like that is asking for trouble because it's going to get demolished by the wind.
So you're talking early country,
Early season, high alpine situations, a lot of wind coming crossing the valley. Not a lot of places you can, get down into some timber and not a lot of flat spots as well, besides for ridge lines. So like in that situation, I'm using a freestanding, like pole style shelter.
Yep.
Stone Glacier, a Hilleberg, something that's bomb proof. Like I want that thing to stay there, and I want to be able to last through the night in the wind or storms, whatever it may be. And then, if I'm dropping down late season in some timber, I love having a floorless teepee. I think that is
with a stove.
With a stove, yes, always with a stove. If you can, if there's wood to burn, obviously.
Yep.
But just the versatility of a teepee, I think that's what sets it apart for me. The room I have, it's not that much heavier per se. Sometimes I think some freestandings are a little bit heavier than a teepee because all it is, it's always Dyneema for me too. Like I will always take a Dyneema teepee over a sill, but they're not bad other way around. But just like the room, drying out your gear, having a spot to hang dry clothes a little bit easier with the stove in there, hang boots up top, put a Grax saw boot dryer up there and dry everything out. The downside is maybe I need to start doing this, but I never take like a mesh insert inside my teepee. So I'm just sleeping with ticks all the time, as most people know, and bear hunting, probably not smart.
Condensation
issues are a big issue on teepees because it's a single wall shelter. So
I've had some major condensation on a teepee style shelter, because you don't get that double wall essentially that you get with a freestanding tent where you've got an inner mesh canopy and then you've got your poles and you put your rain fly over the top of it and you get that air gap between the two. It kind of, I don't know, it just gives you a barrier from that condensation.
Yep.
And I have taken a teepee tent on hunts and it was not the right choice because the inside of that thing, it was raining. I mean, it collected so much condensation.
Yeah. And then the worst thing is too, if it's tons of condensation on a teepee and the wind hits that thing, all that condensation flies on your face.
You stand up, you rub your down against it, your gear, everything gets wet.
I think a lot of people, it's intimidating using a teepee for sure. You think, you're going to get soaked in the bottom. Is rain going to come in there? It's like, well, you have to kind of understand where you're pitching it. You have to understand how to vent it to prevent condensation. Some condensation is not able to prevent, but like you have to just understand, like, hey, if it's, there's no wind right now, I don't want to pitch this thing all the way down to the ground, and that way you're going to get tons of condensation. You pitch it down, pitch it up a little bit to let some potential airflow move around. But I don't think you can beat it for a late season hunt. But obviously, you also got to have considerations of where you put it because high winds are, even you can put all the guidelines you want out there.
I kind of feel the same about quilts and sleeping bags like I do with single-walled teepee-style shelters and freestanding tents. So I feel like in theory, the teepee-style tents, they make sense. You save weight.
Yeah.
You can walk in and out of them without tracking dirt and mud, which is great.
Have room.
But the older I've gotten, like over the last 2 years, I would say 3 years, I'm leaning more back into just like your traditional freestanding tent with poles. And I think it's because I like that there's no condensation. I like that I've got a floor. I like a floor you can get in. You kind of feel like you're in out of the elements. You know what I mean? Like you're totally out of it. Like there's not dirt in your tent.
I'm constantly killing spiders in my...
You do have to take your boots off. You got to try to keep that thing clean, but it just feels more homey, more orderly. I feel like I'm more protected from the elements. So I would say I do think that there's a time and a place for a teepee style shelter. And for me, it's pretty much gotten to the point where it's only in conjunction with a stove late season.
So you're telling right now if you don't have a shelter at all, okay, you want to buy one shelter to do it all, it would be a freestanding shelter first.
Yeah.
I would agree with you there.
Okay.
If you just want one, it's so versatile for all sorts of different hunting conditions. You can still use it in the snow. It's not like saying like, okay, it's snowing, you have to have a teepee with a stove. You don't, but it's just nice to have. You can just use it more.
All things being equal, you have a freestanding tent, a 2-person freestanding tent, and you have a small teepee style shelter, the same environments, same conditions. The freestanding shelter will sleep warmer. It sleeps warmer.
Yeah, because it's a smaller area.
It's just a smaller area. It's more compact. You got a floor. You got the double wall. It sleeps warmer. Like I've slept in some really cold temperatures in a 2-man tent with my dad. Right, he went hunting with me. I was shocked at how cold it was and how warm we slept, just because it kind of confined it, kept it in. There wasn't a lot of space for it to just lose heat. Right, whereas a not a freestanding, but a teepee style shelter, like the floor's exposed, usually have a gap, maybe an inch or two at the base, and it just feels like it dumps heat. So
and then another thing too is the footprint size of those two shelters is severely different.
Yeah, much smaller, you would say, on a freestanding shelter.
You can easily fit a freestanding tent in a lot more tighter places than you can a 4-person style teepee, which is the common. Basically, it's 2-person with a stove. Just harder to find a flat spot that big.
Yep. So unless I'm hunting somewhere where I absolutely need like a bunch of room, and I'm going to go to like a seek outside Red Cliff, which is a lot of room. I can sleep 3 people stand up in it, or if I'm hunting someplace where I actually need a stove, I think I'm just freestanding tent guy, or Bivy and a tarp, which is kind of my very favorite. Okay.
And then next question, let's just stick to freestanding for a little bit. So, 1-person or 2-person?
Depends on the tent.
It depends on the hunt, depends on the situation, depends if I already have one.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Enon. Don't get me wrong. So the Enon's a 1-person tent from Hillberg, and that's one of my very favorite, solo shelters. It's just big enough for one guy inside. Then you got a vestibule off the one side, and I like the fact that it's so quick. You just throw a single pole through the middle, and then you get the 2 ends that you stake out. So I really like that for 1 person, but generally I would say the 2-man tents have gotten so light. There's not really any reason why you shouldn't just get a 2-person tent, whether you're backpacking with a buddy or you're just doing it by yourself. So like I talk a lot about the Tiger Wall. So the Big Agnes Tiger Wall UL2. I think that shelter's so underrated, and maybe it's not underrated. I mean, it's got great reviews, and I know we sell a bunch of them, but that tent, I think for 90% of your hunts, is going to be just fine. I think through August, September, maybe the first couple weeks in October, if you don't want to put a ton of snow load on it, it's not built for that, right?
Yeah.
But that thing is 2 pounds, 8 ounces for a 2-man tent. I mean, it is light.
Yeah. Think it's still bomb-proof for some?
No, I don't think it's bomb-proof. I wouldn't want to take it where I was dealing with like a lot of wind.
A lot of wind, yeah. The wind part, you said snow earlier,
Yeah, maximum wind or snow. I don't think so. But I think for most of the hunts that folks are doing, like if you're archery elk hunting, I think it's awesome. I think if you're hunting in the alpine, archery deer, mule deer, I think it's great. And it's 2 pound, 8 ounces, and you get all the room. So a 2-person tent for one guy. You got room for your gear if you want to stick it inside.
Yeah, that room for gear is a big thing.
You got 2 vestibules, which is awesome. You got both 2 entrances. That's one thing we should probably touch on when you buy a tent. Pay attention to the entrances. I don't really like end entrances.
The front entry
the front
side?
entrance. Yeah, side. Yeah, I prefer the side, and I prefer that you got where you're getting in and your sleeping bag is essentially perpendicular to you. It's just so much easier to crawl in your bag versus trying to get in a front entrance.
Front entrance, you have to do you go foot first or do you go part way in with your head and then do this rotation thing and then get down and then is it raining and you open everything up? Or you get
it's
water?
Awkward.
It's not ideal, but those are usually the methods that are saving a little bit of weight because it's a little less of a door and zipper and stuff like that.
I would take the extra weight for being able to get in the thing easier in and out of it.
And then I just like side entries too because it feels like, it feels like you get a little better vestibule, a little bigger.
And I like 2 doors.
You can put your gear a lot easier. Do you like 2 doors?
I like 2 doors. I mean, if it's 1 person.
Yeah, 1 person, 1 door is fine.
1 person, 1 door is fine. But if you got 2 people, you got to have each have to have your different entrances. I don't want to have to crawl over somebody to get in bed or
How often have you slept 2 people in a 2-person?
Pretty rare. Yeah, I could count the number of nights on one hand probably in the last 20 years that I've stayed 2 people in a 2-man tent.
Probably me too.
Yeah, it's super rare, but I know people that do it all the time.
Hot in there too.
Yeah, it gets warm. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, if you're trying to cut weight and you're hunting with a buddy,
Yeah.
there's no reason you shouldn't split the weight of the tent
Yeah.
and just pack one.
Yeah, Zach Botten and I, we both slept in a
Did you?
skyscraper.
You guys are
two-person.
both tall too.
I know, we were pushing
Yeah, you guys are
on
tall.
space.
What freestanding tents do you like then?
I still have one. I don't know if they make it anymore. It is the MSR Hubba HP.
Mm-hmm. Hubba single? Not
It's
the
a-
Hubba
it's-
Hubba?
You know, it's a Hubba single, but it's the
Okay.
HP version, which I can't remember what the high performance HP thing stands for. But I still have it to this day, and I bust it out every now and then. It's super lightweight. And again, there's probably some other lightweight options, but back in its day, like I probably got the shelter in like, I don't know, 2006 or something like that,
Mhm.
but it's still holding up. I've definitely had to patch a few things on it,
Mhm.
but it was a great shelter. It handled a lot of wind, had a lot of snow. I do have a skyscraper 2-person from Stone Glacier. Really love that. It's a little on the heavy side.
It's heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I won't.
That's the only thing I don't like about it. It's
Yeah.
heavy. I packed it up on a couple of my
It's like 5 pounds.
muzzleloader hunts in the Alpine and
Mhm.
did not like the weight of it. So again, I would like to find something else, but then I think I would have to sell that one to try to afford something else because I already
Mhm.
own it. So I don't really want to spend more money if I don't have to. I have a Sky Arrow ULT from Stone Glacier. And again, that's that front entry thing. And it's not meant for
Yeah,
a lot of wind and stuff. You want to find a secluded place to pitch
Mhm.
that thing. So like summer scouting, I'll bust that out. But other than that, I don't really like hunting with that one anymore.
What's your favorite teepee style shelter?
I mean, can I be biased a little bit? I mean, we're designing one.
Be whatever you want.
We're designing
It's
one.
America.
So GOHUNT's going to have a Dyneema, teepee
Mhm.
here eventually. So I've been helping with that. But other than that, Peaks,
Mm-hmm.
theirs is phenomenal. I love their door design. They have the cross
Is it
track.
tall enough for you? Do you like the door design?
I like it small. I do like it small.
Really?
Why
'Cause
why
know
do I
their-
need a
their
big
door doesn't go all the way to the top.
Don't
It kind
want- I don't
of
want
J
that.
hooks over, right?
Yeah, wait till you see the GOHUNT one.
Okay.
Like not a full zip. Trying
Okay.
to save weight.
Sure.
I don't need it. But their horseshoe design on theirs, the Peaks, is allows you to sit in there in glass, which is kind of cool.
Okay.
So you can just zip the top open
Mm-hmm.
and kind of glass out of it and keep everything else open. Like, yeah, you could zip downwards and kind of do it, but then you're looking,
Yep.
that way a little bit. I don't have their new Dyneema version, so I just
Mhm.
have their older one, but I really, really enjoyed that one. Seek Outside still makes a
Mhm.
great one. I've been doing it forever.
Yeah, I've used that Red Cliff a lot.
Yeah.
I've used that, I would say, more than anything. That one's probably that one and the Peaks one, I would say.
Yeah.
It would be my two favorite if I'm talking like a floorless teepee style shelter. And then, like I said, it's got to have stove jack.
Gotta have a
It's
stove jack.
the only
Yep.
reason I'm using it. But
Yeah, some of the other ones out there that don't have stove jacks, I'm
Yeah.
like, why?
yeah, I don't get it.
Then it's not a great purchase for me
Yeah, me either.
because you probably can't add one by yourself and make
Yeah.
it worthwhile. So like, get one with a stove jack.
Yeah, freestanding tents. I would say the Enon has been one of the most used I've ever had. I already mentioned the Tiger Wall 2. I think is a killer, super lightweight 2-man. I think that one's an awesome shelter. The Rogan. So if you're looking for a dual entrance, dual vestibule from Hilleberg, 2-man tent. I think that's a killer option.
What do they call that one?
It's called the Rogan. ROGEN.
Oh,
EN, yeah, the Rogan. And then the Hubba Hubba. You talked about the Hubba, but the Hubba Hubba, which is the 2-person version of that same tent. I had really good luck with that. And I owned one of those for a bunch of years, and it was awesome. Durable. Those are probably like it for me as far as like the top 3 that I really like.
mm-hmm.
Hilleberg does have a bunch of tents. So I will say that the round version that essentially look like a wind tunnel, they're rounded off. Those are awesome in the wind. So the Enon's like that, the Nalo 2's like that, which is a front entrance, a little bit harder to get in and out. It's a little bit lower at one end than the other, but that thing is light and wind proof. But those are probably the ones I would mention, and I typically recommend to folks if they're looking for a tent. Anything I missed on tent?
What style steaks do you like?
I like needle steaks. But
Why?
I know you hate those.
I just hate them so much.
I think it's probably because of the style of hunting I do most, which is like early season, and I'm not trying to pound them down in through snow and frozen ground, and it's usually loose dirt and easy to pound, and I don't need them to go super deep.
Mm-hmm.
So just the needle stakes, either MSR or our needle stakes, have been good for me. I do like the little, God, what are they called? They're essentially just like a V shape. Do you know what I'm talking about? J stakes. I can't remember what
J hooks.
They're just like your basic tent stake. It's 2-sided. I absolutely loathe the groundhog.
Groundhog stakes should be just
they should be outlawed.
Trashed, outlawed. You should go to jail if you sell
MSR
them.
groundhog stakes. I absolutely hate them.
Yeah, the tops snap off
all the time.
all the time. And then you have a sharp object you got to pack out. Like,
yeah, I hate those stakes.
Yeah, they're garbage.
Yeah. What do you like?
The ones I helped try to find them and put them in the market for us. Just the GOHUNT aluminum tent stake set. It's basically has a nice little hard top on it, so you can pound it with a rock. Has a hole in there, so you can put some P-cord if you want to. Mm-hmm. And they're roughly like 3/8 of an inch diameter. Mm-hmm. Just like a good long needle stake. And I like having thicker surface area. The surface areas to me is what's going to grab onto that ground, especially on looser soil, that sort of thing. And I've been running those style of stakes forever.
The aluminum tent stake,
yeah, the ones that we sell, and I've never destroyed them. I've run them a different version before we started carrying them. Now that we carry them, I think that's the best. Way back in the day, Rutalakura. Mm-hmm. They don't make a lot of backpacking stuff anymore, but they made some tent stakes back in the day that were basically a carbon fiber arrow with a little thing on the top and basically like almost a field point glued in on the bottom. I thought those are really, really great for ultralight versions, but like anymore now, I kind of want a tent stake that is a little bit longer.
How long?
6
inches?
10? No. 10. 8 or 6.
Okay.
At least. Like, and surface area, because I want to be able to grip the ground, especially when I'm having a teepee. Mm-hmm. Like that wind and all those guy lines put out there, I want to know that shelter ain't going to blow away on me. Because I don't have anything heavy, like I don't have a sleeping bag, I don't have stuff like weighting that shelter down. So the stakes and the amount of guidelines are kind of essential.
Yep. Fair enough. Yeah, we do have those on the website. I just looked. Anything else you want to talk about in regards to sleep systems? We ran it up to, I don't know how long, hour and 40 minutes or something.
Yeah, the only thing we really didn't talk about is a bivy setup and a tarp.
Yeah.
When would you rock a bivy and a tarp?
I use it early season, archery hunting. So archery mule deer, I will use it if it's low country. Mm-hmm. So high country, I'm not going to take it up into the alpine. I would rather have a freestanding tent where I've got some shelter to get in and out of it and out of the wind. But as I think about it, the times that I think it's helped me the most is when I've needed to cut the distance to an animal and keep like a real low profile. Yep. So early season archery, early season muzzleloader deer hunting, like in some low country where I'm not dealing with like a lot of wind and a lot of rain and bad weather. And it's mostly just because I want to bomb out, cut the distance, keep a low profile, sleep under a tree, get up and try to be as close to that buck as I possibly can in the morning. I use it a lot archery elk hunting because I like to be mobile. I like how fast it is. I can just throw it out of my backpack, throw my sleeping pad in it, blow it up, put my bag in it, and I'm in bed in 5 minutes. Yeah. And the footprint of it is so small. Like I've slept on the sides of some really steep ridges on the high side of a big tree where it kind of flattens out the dirt, or like a deer or an elk bed.
I noticed when we were archery elk hunting together eons ago, you had your setup done with and you're already making food, and I was still trying to find a flat spot for my 2-person shelter, trying to look around.
Finding a flat spot's hard, but for a bivvy it's easy because you
drop
only
it down.
Need
That's all you need.
Yeah, I need 6 foot that's 25 inches wide. That's it. And you can find it pretty much anywhere. The other thing that's nice about it, I've actually used this a number of times, like when I've been hunting in burned areas and you have all those big standing dead, widowmakers.
Oh, scary.
Yeah, super scary, right? I can tuck my bivvy down in between logs, like great big logs, that are going to provide me some protection should a big giant tree fall over on it. So I've done that a bunch. I'll sleep between two logs that are, much higher than I am, so that it provides me like a little bit of protection. Should a big widowmaker come down. So I use it then. I use it archery elk hunting mostly, and it's just because I want to be mobile. I want to be in bed quick. It's lightweight. I want a low profile, and I want to not have to worry about trying to find a big flat spot to camp. My favorite bivy I've been using, so I used the Hilleberg Bavana rack for a long time. I was using...
Talk to me about the old Bavana rack.
Yeah. So it's got sleeves, and it's got a hood. And other than that, it's just a big waterproof sack.
It looks kind of creepy when you're laying
in it. You do
in
look creepy when you wear it. And it looks weird when you lay it out.
Yes, it does.
It looks strange.
You took it on our aoudad hunt.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah, and it's great if you don't expect any weather, but you want to have the added protection should something happen and it starts to rain. You can throw that thing over and just use it as your rain gear, which is great. The one I've been using most often lately is the Rab Alpine, and it's a basic sack. It just has a zipper across the hood. It's got no hoops. It's got no structure to it. It's event, which is waterproof, and it breathes really well. I think it breathes better than I don't like Pertex that much. So Pertex, the helium from Outdoor Research is Pertex. It doesn't feel to me like it breathes as well. I feel like if you get condensations in a bivy and I talk to somebody and I'm like, is it the helium? They're always like, yep. I just feel like for whatever reason that membrane doesn't breathe as well as like an event or a Gore-Tex. So I would say the other one is maybe an Outdoor Research Alpine. That one's a good one. It's got the hoop. So if you want to be able to keep that thing off your face, it'll do it. But there really hasn't been a lot in the name of bivvies in a while. So that Alpine is my favorite from Rab right now. And then I'll pair it with the tarp. I always pack a tarp, and I'm using that GOHUNT Dyneema tarp. And it is expensive. I get it. But it's light. Yeah, it's light. And it's waterproof. And it's big enough I can pitch that thing and sit under it during the day for either shade or rain protection. I can pitch it in a closed off A-frame. I can put my feet kind of at the base end of it, the opening, and I can sleep in that thing just as dry as a bone. So that's it. I mean, that's kind of it for my system.
Do you also believe in spending the money on a quality tent?
Yeah,
rather than something cheap?
I mean, I do feel like it depends. I keep saying it depends. Depends on the individual and like how often you're using it. If you're doing maybe like one trip a year, you probably could save some money on a tent because there's a lot of tents that are cheaper that are going to get you by for most of the conditions that a lot of people face. Yeah. I mean, being completely honest, early season archery hunting, you're not often facing the worst of the worst. No. Like you don't need a 4-season tent with super hardy, heavy duty poles that's going to last.
Get some crazy weather, just don't pitch it in places where you need to be exposed.
Yeah. You could find some cover. So I feel like a shelter, I think, there's advantages, lighter, stronger. But reality, I think probably your shelter is an area you could save some money.
So spend more money on a sleeping bag, save some money on a pad potentially as well.
Maybe.
But you could save money on a tent.
You could.
Per se.
You're going to sacrifice somewhere else. It's going to be heavier. Yeah. It might not be as durable, but I do feel like for most people, given that a lot of people don't maybe spend a lot of nights in it in real rough weather, you could probably get by with something a little bit cheaper. That'd be my advice. Okay. Anything else? I'm sure we missed a bunch of stuff that people have questions. So I would say if you got questions, reach out.
Got questions? Yeah, definitely reach out. I mean, these are always good ones to talk about. You can talk about more things in depth for a whole podcast if need be, but
so let's run through just real quick, then we'll totally wrap up. So you've got a mule deer tag.
Yep.
What are your temperatures that you're looking
at?
Hot, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's probably your primary tag, right?
Yeah.
For the year. That is, you've got some others, but like that is the one.
Yeah.
What are you taking? Pad, bag, tent.
Pad, X-Lite, tent, probably just gonna toss out my skyscraper 2-person because I got a little bit of room. I don't want to sleep on the ground with all the little creepy crawlies.
You're not worried about weight.
Don't need to worry about weight too much. I'm not fully a backpack hunt. Just want to sleep comfortable. Probably will still bring another little foam pad underneath there to throw on, just because, most likely I'm coming back to my camp every single night.
Yep.
And that way, my sleeping pad, everything's protected. Still probably going to bring a 15-degree bag and just sleep on top of it, because I don't really like Quilts anymore too much for sleeping.
The Peaks probably.
Peaks, yep, bag. And
pillow. You gonna bring a pillow on
pillow?
that one?
I'll bring a pillow on that one. I'll bring
a regular bed pillow, like from home. I love those. That's my favorite.
I do have a bed pillow that's a specific camping pillow, so I'll bring one of those for that.
Nice.
My other hunt that I'm going to do is totally opposite, and I'm still not sure on full camp what I should bring yet, but it's probably going to be very similar to what we're talking about, because I'm going to that mountain goat hunt.
Oh, yeah, right.
So that's in October.
What are you going to
do? Skyscraper 2-person.
Okay.
Peaks.
For the weather protection.
Protection there, yeah. The Peaks Solus 15, and then probably my X-Therm for that hunt.
Yeah.
So that one I am, even though I talked before about not really caring about R value, but since I don't have a stove, I'm going to lean more towards R value, because I'm not sure what we're going to be sleeping on. There's going to be snow. It's going to be wind. It's going to be nasty.
Nothing to burn for fuel.
Fuel.
No stove.
So it'd be very similar-ish, but just that shelter just for the durability. And it's heavy again, but durable. My Mueller tag, that's kind of a hybrid approach. It's not really anything too specific. I can get by in any shelter for that one.
Yep. So antelope hunt, I'll do a cot, or I'll sleep in the back of my 4Runner.
Yeah, that's an option for me as well. I guess I should mention a cot.
So I've done that a number of nights.
I've done that scouting, just throwing a cot out.
For me, on that style of hunt, it'll still be that Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite. Antelope hunting in August in Nevada. It's going to be 100 degrees at night. So
yeah, it is.
I will take a down quilt. So I'll just use it as a blanket, basically. And then just I'll probably bring a bed pillow for that one. And then and sleep real nice. And then the rest of my hunts for the year are all archery elk tags. And so it'll be Bivy. So that Rab Alpine Bivy. It'll be the same sleeping pad, Thermarest Neo or X-Lite. Sleeping bag, I'll probably use that Argali, the 20-degree Alpine. And that's probably it. Probably for those, and then a tarp. So the GOHUNT Dyneema tarp. Yeah. And that'll be my system. And some tent stakes. That's it. Anyway, so with that, you good? We're good?
Sleep system's important.
Call it a wrap. I got to pee, so that's pretty long. That's a long one for me. Yeah. Okay, let us know if you got questions.
Let us know the questions, and leave us a review.
Yeah, leave us. That's right. I keep forgetting.
I got you.
So apparently I learned that we do better. The podcast gets better. We can grow this thing if we get some reviews. So if you liked it, leave us a good review and, write us a little note. I don't even care what you say.
Yeah, leave us a review.
Leave us a review. But I would really appreciate that. And then share it.
Share it. Share with your friends.
Yep. Or your enemies.
Yeah.
If you hate them.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.